Give consideration to a proposal to expand Ballymacool Respite House in Letterkenny. Councillor Jerry McMonigal proposed extending the facility in light of the serious need for additional respite beds in Donegal. Ballymacool Respite House and Seaview House in Mount Charles are the only two centres currently providing respite care in the county. Staff recruitment issues continue to hamper efforts to reopen Riverwalk Respite House in Carndonagh. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says much more needs to be done for those in need in Donegal.
We know people who have been waiting 6 months, a year, some longer for respite, and the service hasn't been there for them. And we need to do better at that. And the only way we can do better at that is increase our bed capacity. And that's why I asked today that they should look at Ballymacool. I think the land is available adjacent to the current facility, and that we build a large extension with multiple beds capacity there for those who are waiting respite in County Donegal.
Investigations are continuing into a serious crash in Inishowen. Garda and emergency services attended the scene of the single vehicle collision in the Glengad area shortly before midnight on Sunday. A woman in her 40s, the driver and sole occupant of the car, remains in a serious condition in hospital. The crash occurred just a matter of hours after a fatal crash in Ballinlough in the early hours of Sunday morning, which claimed the life of 18-year-old Tiernan Kelly Doherty from Carndonagh. Finally, for weather, a dry start today with frost and a few fog patches. Scattered outbreaks of rain and drizzle will spread this afternoon and evening, possibly falling as sleet for a time over high ground. Highest temperatures of 5 to 9 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news in full at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Hey mate, how's all in Oz? No crack here, just... It's 2:30 in the morning. An early night these days. Look, I'm not partying, I just can't sleep. Tomorrow will be fun.
Trouble sleeping, low mood, stress and feeling anxious can all be signs you should check in with your mental health. For support that can help, use the My Mental Health Plan tool at yourmentalhealth.ie. From the HSC.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And a very good morning to you. This is the 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you on the programme until 12 noon today. Lots to get through, lots to talk about. We've got some competitions as well, giving you the chance to win some lovely goodies, confectionery-wise, and also giving you the chance to win yourself a nice spa treatment and a bit of pampering. All that's coming up. And of course, the most important thing of all is over the course of this programme, we want you to give us your perspectives on the stories of the day. What do you believe are the most important issues to be talked about? You can call us on 07491 25000, 00353 749 25000 if you're outside of the dialing area. You can text or WhatsApp us, of course, on 086 60 25000. You can contact us via email, comments at highlandradio.com. We're also available through social media. It's at Highland Hub on X. It's at Highland Radio on X, and it's Highland Hub on Facebook, I think. And then we're also obviously available through our YouTube channel, where you can watch the programme unfold as well. Looking at the newspapers this morning, interesting sort of top farming headline on the Irish Independent. Kerrygold stockpiles butter for the US in case of Trump tariffs. That's in the farming put out of the Irish Independent. And it's amazing, with the prospect of a Trump presidency coming back into effect in the US in the new year. A lot of people looking to see what are the business implications of that going to be on Ireland and the Irish economy. Girl 8 killed at home trying to intervene in row before stabbing a girl who was stabbed had tried to attempt to intervene in a row between two adults. It's understood that Malika Al-Khatib was awoken by a commotion and tried to intervene in a bid to prevent what the paper describes as a woman from Excuse me, no, I'm sorry. There was a dot, and then they didn't actually have a full continuation of the story. Trying to protect a woman. Excuse me. My head is still a bit scrambled, to be quite honest. She was trying to protect a woman. Sorry, I thought it said prevent a woman. Sorry, my fault. Looking at the Irish Times this morning, and it's interesting. All the papers looking at now the general election results and where things are going to go in terms of where the results sit at the moment. And the Irish Times is saying Fine Gael will insist on parity of esteem in any new coalition talks. Now, that's an interesting one because there had been some discussion at the potential for a Fianna Fáil-led government that didn't have a rotating Taoiseach. Now, Fine Gael seem to be making it absolutely abundantly clear that from their point of view, they will be insisting on a rotating Taoiseach, and they will not accept a situation where Fianna Fáil retain the Taoiseach's position for the entirety of the government. So Fianna Fáil are playing down any talk of future deal making. In the meantime, Sinn Féin is approaching the Social Democrats and Labour. Now, on the Irish Independent, just going back to that for a moment, the front page there is Labour TDs split over talks on coalition with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. And the split seems to be going down. Ivana Bacik is being strongly urged by some to ignore attempts by Micheál Martin and Simon Harris to bring the Labour Party into a coalition. However, others, such as Alan Kelly, are insisting the party should return to government and have a moral responsibility to do so. Now, it's interesting that Alan Kelly is one of the ones that's pushing this, because if you recall at the time of the discussion over housing charges and water charges and the bringing in of the property tax, and there was so much focus on water charges, Alan Kelly was the Environment Minister at the time when the water charges were being posited and being brought in. And he was the minister in charge of the department, and he was very much the person that was taking a lot of that in the neck. So no one knows more than Alan Kelly what it's like to be a minister in an unpopular department at a time when an unpopular measure is being put forward. And he took an awful lot of flack at the time, and he's still advocating that the party go into government. A very emotional interview actually with them last night after his election was confirmed. Now that was partly down to the fact that unfortunately his father is very ill in hospital at the moment, and I think that obviously was affecting him emotionally too. And obviously, irrespective of politics and everything else, your thoughts are with him in that context. But no, Kelly, one of those who are saying Labour should become involved in coalition talks. Obviously, Sinn Féin trying to bring in Labour and the Social Democrats and other left-leaning parties. Now, that's going to be a very difficult one, because even if you take it, Sinn Féin are on, what is it, 36 at the moment, or is it 36 or 38? And the Progressive, the Social Democrats and the Labour Party on 11 each. So if it's 38 plus 22, you're now moving into about 60. So you're still trying to make up another 28 at least before you're going to get it looks very difficult to see how you're going to get any kind of a stable government out of that. However, it's only going to start, and believe you me, if the talk about who's going to form the next government has finished by January, I think we'll be doing quite well. Think back to the time just as COVID was hitting. We'd had an election, 2-3 weeks before COVID hit, and it was well into the early summer before we got a government, and we had the strange situation where we had a caretaker government in place, where the Minister for Social Protection, who was administering things like the pandemic unemployment payment, had lost her seat and wasn't actually a TD, but was still the Minister for that couple of months. It won't take quite as long this time, because as we said in previous discussions and over the weekend, the template for a Fianna Fáil Fine Gael coalition is there now. So we're in the situation where it has been discussed. It does make a certain amount of sense. It has been... It is a tried and tested model, so to speak. So the template is there, and it may very well be on the cards. Now, Irish Daily Mail this morning, the main story there is girl died trying to save mother in home stabbing. An 8-year-old girl was stabbed to death as she tried to protect her mother from an assault in her own home. It happened in New Ross in County Wexford shortly before midnight on Sunday night. The chief suspect in the case is a man known to the girl and her mother. The man, who was understood to be originally from Kuwait, we're told suffered self-inflicted injuries and is also under treatment in hospital and is under armed guard. And Inside, the Irish Daily Mail have an exclusive on the front page. Come and get me. Michael Lowry offers his support at a price as independent TDs set out demands to support new coalition. And you can be absolutely assured we're going to have an awful lot.
It's Tuesday, the 3rd of December.
We're going to have an awful lot of discussions along those lines over the coming weeks, as we said. Let's move over toward the Irish Daily Star. Girl 8 killed protecting her mum. That's the same headline there in the Irish Daily Star. Tragic child stabbed twice at her home as she tried to stop attacker. Looking in, and there's a story that I have to say has saddened me, because it's a man who I would have watched on TV an awful lot many years ago. Soap icon Ian Smith. He played Harold Bishop in Neighbours, has revealed he has a terminal cancer. It's a very aggressive, non-fixable cancer. It's a pulmonary pleomorphic carcinoma, which means he's had one bout of a new immunotherapy treatment plus chemotherapy. But the 8-year-old says he had to act as a guinea pig. He doesn't want to die. He wants to stay alive as long as he can. But he believes that he is going to die soon. He was speaking on Australia's 10 News First. So, I mean, Harold Bishop was one of those iconic characters in Neighbours. And I, like many people, I watched Neighbours religiously when it started. And over the years, interest waned. And now I could sit down in front of Neighbours, I suspect, and be watching it for 20 minutes and not know it was Neighbours until I would suddenly recognise the bridge beside the cafe or something, which actually did happen once before. I saw something on TV, it looked very vaguely familiar, and it struck me, oh yeah, that's the bridge beside Paul's cafe. I think Paul was the name of the guy that ran the cafe, wasn't it? He was Jim's son, and I've forgotten the surname. No, they were the Ramseys. Well, yeah, it was Paul Ramsey and Jim Ramsey. That's what it was. Again, an awful lot more inside the Star, as is in all the papers, about that horrendous stabbing in New Ross. Monks a TD, brew ha ha, a picture of Jerry Hutch and his brother Patsy taking down election posters and having a cup of tea and a sandwich. Yeah, that's the front of the Daily Mirror. Ruud van Nistelrooy, it hurt to leave United. That's Ruud van Nistelrooy, who was caretaker manager with Man United for a couple of weeks there. Now appointed boss of Leicester City. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when Ruud van Nistelrooy goes back to Old Trafford, trying to defeat his former team. So that's the back of the Irish Daily Mirror. Irish Sun this morning. Garda is shot by accident. And this is a story by Stephen Breen. A Garda is being treated in hospital after he sustained a gunshot wound during a training exercise. His leg was hurt after an accidental discharge during practice with the Army Ranger Wing at Kildare's Curragh Camp. The officer, believed to have a fractured leg, is being treated in hospital in Tala. Inside also, an interesting story that we're going to be discussing a little bit later. Taxi hike unfair on hospitality. The new taxi fares hike will harm the late night economy and also impact on hospitality workers who rely on lifts home. The 9% increase has been announced by the National Transport Authority. It comes into effect on Sunday. It includes a special rate now being applied to peak weekend hours all year round. That rate previously only applied between 8 p.m. on Christmas Eve and 8 a.m. on Stephen's Day, between 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve to 8 a.m. on New Year's Day. And the pre-booking charge will also increase now from €2 to €3. And as I say, we will be discussing that a little bit later on the programme. It is, as we said, Tuesday. It's the 3rd of December. And it's funny, it only struck me yesterday that with all the election coverage and so on over the course of the weekend, it never actually struck me that we were into December. So it is the 3rd of December, and someone was talking about, I think actually over the weekend at one point, someone said, we might get it this kind of Christmas, and Greg said, God, that's so far away, and then suddenly struck him, no, hang on, Christmas is what, the guts of 3 weeks away at this stage. So, it's the 3rd of December, it's a Tuesday. This is the 9 till noon show, and as I said, if you want to make contact with us, you can text us 086 60 25,000. That number good for WhatsApp messages as well. You can call us on 074 91 25,000. Also on the programme this morning, you can of course use social media. It's on Facebook and X. You can watch us on our YouTube, our Facebook pages, and on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube. You can watch the show unfold live, and many people do, and to all of those who do, a very warm welcome to you on the programme this morning. 16 minutes past 9. We're going to take a short break. Back after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
What's gravity? When does the grass grow greener? Can people with longer legs jump higher? How are plastic cups made? How filthy are our parents? Which ingredients make the best slime? Why do we dream? Are you faster than a calculator? Could a robot be powered by fruit or vegetables?
Kids are full of curious questions. ESB Science Blast, delivered by the RDS, empowers children to investigate the science behind simple questions just like these ones. Find out how your school can get involved at esbscienceblast.com.
There's something about this time of year that makes you want to be near all the things that remind you of your favourite Christmas. When you get that warm and fuzzy feeling, you want to be near the people you love and the things you love. So where better to get that Christmas feeling than Letterkenny Shopping Centre. There's free parking, extended opening hours and great gifts for everyone on your list. Add in a visit to Santa, you'll have Christmas all wrapped up. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Christmas just around the corner.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
Be the first to test drive the brand new Nissan Qashqai at iMotors. Low finance rates and up to €4,000 available on trade-in boosters. iMotors are offering any customer who orders before December 23rd the chance to win €10,000. Visit our showroom today.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
18 minutes past 9 o'clock. Now, in the preamble to the programme this morning, we promised you a few competitions. And let's look at the first of those competitions now. And Cadbury is a company that you will always associate with Christmas. And let's be honest, it wouldn't be a Christmas without a selection box under the tree. And people say, but Donal, you're 60, surely those days are long gone. Sorry, those days are not long gone. If I don't have a selection box on Christmas Day, something is wrong. And this Christmas shall be no different. That I am sure, and the reason I'm sure is I've already bought it myself, just to be sure. But Cadbury have a very special campaign running at the moment, and it's a campaign whereby you can provide someone you love, someone you want to say thank you to, with a special present. And there's little posters going up all over, and the posters are basically saying you can send a Cadbury bar for free. And it's actually their Secret Santa. It's year 7 of the campaign. They have 22,000 chocolate bars to give away, and they also have 2 huge hampers of chocolate plus a 50 voucher daily to be won. What they want you to do is to tell us who you want to surprise with something special with a Secret Santa bar this year, and why do they deserve it? What good reason do you have to surprise someone? Tell us about that person in your life who deserves a Secret Santa bar this year. You could win €50, also be in the draw to win that Cadbury hamper for you and your Secret Santa. There's a hamper for you and for the person that you're nominating. And with thanks to Cadbury Secret Santa, don't forget, if you want to send a bar to someone in secret, look out for the special posters all around the country. You can text or WhatsApp us with your letters to 086 60 20 5000. Now, we have the letter to read, the letter for Monday. And the nominee is Caroline Doherty. Caroline Doherty, Shivy, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is my friend and neighbour. She's kind and selfless and always willing to lend a hand in times of need. Caroline is a doula and is a wealth of knowledge. She's helped myself and many others, I'm sure, during my pregnancies and in my postpartum period. My children are now 8, 6 and 2, and she is still there for help and advice. I never know how to thank her for her continuous helping hand, and I think she would absolutely deserve a Secret Santa hamper. Thank you, Caroline, for all you do. And that's from Sarah and family on the Rock. So Sarah gets a €50 voucher. Caroline gets a voucher as well as the Secret Santa bar, and both are in the draw for that hamper at the end of the week, and that's with thanks to Cadbury and the Secret Santa promotion that is ongoing at the moment. And there'll be more on that, obviously, over the course of the programme. So if you have a nominee, if you want to send us a letter telling us who you would like to receive that Secret Santa bar, you can do so. Send your nominees via text or WhatsApp 086 60 25 000. And we have a few coming in here. We've got Mary says, I'd like to nominate my granddaughter for Secret Santa. She's 6 years old and always trying to help and make people happy. She saves up anything she gets. She does shoeboxes with her own stuff and is always looking to help people less well off, like Mary's Meals. And for someone her age, she is truly remarkable. And her name is Isla, and she lives in Milford. And that's from Mary. And fair play to you, Isla. That's just one of the nominations that's been coming in today. And please send in yours, as we said, 086 60 25 000. Callers, there's been a lot of discussion in recent times too over home helps, and one caller says, my mother home helps. They go above their means. I have them 3 times a day for them. I would never manage, and what a beautiful gift it would be. They all love chocolate. My mother shares hers with them, and they all love a wee square. And that's from Deirdre in Creasla, who would like to nominate the home helps to come and help her mother. And having been in a situation where both my parents, while they were still with us, required home helps. What a wonderful, wonderful service, and what wonderful, wonderful people. And we certainly would have been absolutely lost without them. So I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with everything you've said there about the importance of home helps, Deirdre, and thank you very much indeed. Good morning. I'm a wife and full-time carer of my 60-year-old husband who developed a degenerative disease in his mid-50s. I see him losing a lot of what people take for granted: walking, memory, dexterity, swallow, freedom from pain, movement. He carried his illness with a bravery that I couldn't imagine. No matter if we have a good day or a bad day, we always end our evening with a pot of tea and a bar of chocolate each, and I would love to nominate him for the hamper. And that's from Jackie. And Jackie, thank you indeed for that text. And as we said, if you would like to offer us your nominees, please do so. 086 60 25 000 for text or WhatsApp messages. Now, we are going to go to line 1 because we're going to speak to Mark Ford over Unauthorised Providers Unit within the Central Bank. Mark, good morning to you.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
So I'm very well indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Mark, we hear so much recently about scamming now. It's like scams have always been with us. But, I mean, we've gone from the times when you might get a letter from a Nigerian prince and they might be so obvious that you would spot a scam from 100 yards and it became a joke. You've won in the Spanish lottery. I am a Spanish prince and I've got loads of money tied up in an account, and can I just leave the money in your account for a year and I'll give you 2 million? We've had those with us for years, but we could see them coming a mile away. These days, scams are becoming really, really sophisticated, and that's a worry.
Very much so. You're very right. We're seeing a huge shift in the type of scams we're seeing, particularly now in the online space. And you're right, they're very sophisticated. They're really hard to spot. Like, they've caught out people in, the financial space who provide advice. They've even caught them out. It's been that sophisticated. It's very hard to spot and track. So in the last couple of years, we've seen a huge rise in this. It poses a huge risk to everybody. Scammers don't pick and choose who they go after. They go after everyone. So nobody's safe or immune from it. Like ourselves here in the Central Bank, since 2022, we've seen a 75% increase in number of reports and complaints in relation to scams. We're seeing a particular type of investment scam in the last 2 years. Very sophisticated. We've seen it about 60, 70 times. They're using, fake investment brochures, advertising, really good rates on these investments. The brochures look real, authentic. They use the logos from different banks and investment firms. They talk about how safe your money is, and they reach out to people. And we have seen, from the reports we've received, Donal, we've seen more than 250 people impacted by this, and with losses up on 7-8 million. So it's really targeting people, pensioners who've got pension pots when you just retire, people who get inheritance, from family members, and that's, sort of thing where you've got some money to invest. They're targeting people at this time of the year. We see a lot of advanced fee fraud scams. So people who are looking for some short-term loans to cover Christmas, to cover some of the utility bills, for emergency loans for things like your car is broken down and that. People go online looking for loans for those, and what we're finding is that you'll definitely come across scam advertisements and websites for those type of loan scams. And the big one there to spot is if they're asking for a fee up front before they give you your money. That's the biggest red flag for us when we see that.
One of the worrying things too is previously, if you got a text from a scammer, it came from a 15, 16-digit number that was obviously an international number. Now in some cases we're hearing that texts are coming and they appear to come from your bank as far as the number and the title that appears on the screen is concerned. It's, it really does look genuine, and sometimes it appears to be the correct number that's showing up on your screen.
Very much so. And they're even getting to the point where you normally get your messages from your banks, let's say, and they input the scam text within the body of the text you've received from your actual genuine bank. So it's really hard to spot. The one thing we'd say there to people is, take your time whenever you get messages from anybody, whether it's phone calls, emails, text messages. The one thing is to take your time, step back, think about it, read it, make sure you understand what's been asked. The big thing, but then, is anybody asks you to provide your passwords, click on a link that comes in a text message, Donal, provide passwords, that's a big red flag. We shouldn't click on anything that comes in through a text message. Banks that we deal with will not be asking you to provide your details, looking for your passcodes, looking for personal information in those text messages. So that's the big red flag. People need to stop and think and just not be acting on that. If you're actually concerned and wondering, is it a real issue? Step back, ring your bank separately on the number go into your branch, ask them the question, could even show them the text message, to make sure, look, I got this message, I'm not sure if it's real or not, or what I should do with it, and they'll clearly tell you that that's a scam, and just take your time and not be actioning those things.
I know too that the Banking and Payments Federation have launched an app this week in which you can actually put, if you get a message, be it from an email or from a phone number, you can actually input the details and they'll tell you whether it's genuine or not. Now, I know that's more geared perhaps toward online shopping than it is toward purported messages coming from banks, but important that all resources like that are utilised.
Oh, yeah. I think it's really important, and that's a great resource for people now as well. This issue, Donal, it's growing all the time. As I said, it's targeting everybody. And the more that's done across the board from ourselves, from the likes of the BBFI, from the banks, from the social media companies, we all need to act together to help this, because this is worldwide. It's growing all the time. It's impacting everybody. And everybody has to come together to do as much as possible to try and stop this.
Now, what the central bank has done this week is launched what you're calling the SAFE test, a four-step process: stop, assess, fact-check, and expose and report. An important timetable and an important list for people to bear in mind when looking at potential scams.
Very much so, Donal. I think it's those 4 steps, as you mentioned, really important. That stop thing, it is just take your time, stop, think about it. Simple things like, when somebody rings you out of the blue, how did they get my number? Why are they ringing me? What are they offering? Where did they get my information from? It's just stop and think about it. You get a call, and you go, oh, you're entering, and this happens a lot as well, Donal. We see people where they go online and they're looking for loans, as I mentioned, they're looking for investments. You're searching for the best investment rates in Ireland, and you enter your details on a website and you get a phone call back. And, they say, oh, it's Mark Ford here from, Bank of Ireland or AIB or PTSB or Citibank. You don't know who that person is. You haven't dealt with them before. So just take your time, think about it. You can verify the information then. So that's where you assess what's happening. What are you being offered? Does it make sense? Has it come out of the blue? More than likely, if it's out of the blue, Donal, it's a scam, and you should just cut all correspondence and interaction with the individuals that have got in contact with you. Fact check it, as I said. Ring back. Go and ring back. Go online. Go to the actual legitimate firm's website. Get their number. Ring them. Find out if that person works for them. Even ask to talk to them again through the number you've rang, rather than them contacting you, to make sure you're dealing with the right person. On our central bank website, we've got registers. There's information there that gives you details about legitimate firms. You can check that. We have a phone number there as well to contact Donal. If you're ever in doubt, contact. The other thing I'd say to people, always talk to, we recommend you get financial advice, but I'm also conscious that sometimes financial advice can cost money. Okay? So what I'd say in that situation, if you don't have the money to pay for financial advice, definitely talk to somebody. Talk to a family member. Talk to a friend, a trusted friend, somebody that that might be in the industry. Ask them and check the information with them. So that's where you're fact-checking, you're assessing it, you're taking your time before you make any decisions. The fraudsters out there, they're very adept at trying to put you under pressure to make decisions quickly, tell you everything is time-bound, that you're going to miss out. Don't listen to any of that information. You take your time, assess the information, and call people and talk to people. And then if you do believe you've been a victim of a scam, contact the guards, contact the central bank. That's how we're going to help stop other people being caught with the same scams.
And the reality too in this day and age is the nature of business almost lends itself to this. There was a time if you had banking to be done, you dropped into your local branch, you knew Mary, the bank manager, you knew John, who was working, the teller who was behind the counter, and you went in and you had a chat, and you asked after their mother, and you did your business and you went home. Now it's call centres, it's online, it's cold, there's a personal touch gone, and the reality of things is that as long as we're in this sort of call centre space, we're open to potential scams like this. And I suppose really and truly we're in the era where now, instead of wondering is it a scam, it's almost, if you get an unsolicited message purporting to come from your bank, presume it's a scam and work backwards from there.
Exactly. You're very much right. Like, I'd start in this position where it's a scam. I need to prove that it's not a scam, So I think that's a very good helpful tip for people. Start with the fact that you think it's a scam and go work backwards from there. But you're right, having phones and technology is great, but it means everything's now at the tip of your fingers. There's nobody to talk to. Like, if I was making big investments, and big life decisions around my pension pot and what am I doing with it, I'm still very old school, Donal. I like to talk to somebody. I like to see somebody, the whites of their eyes. I need to meet somebody. So where possible, I would be saying that to people as well. Over emails, you need to be talking to people, you need to see people. Despite the fact that that's the way things are going, I think you need to take your time and try that as much as possible.
And just to repeat the safe test, stop, think and ask yourself challenging questions about what you're being offered. Number 2 is assess, make sure the firm is genuine. Number 3 is fact check, seek advice to ensure the product or service is legitimate. And then number 4 is expose and report. If you have any concerns, contact the central bank. Mark Ford, Head of Function over Unauthorised Providers Unit within the central bank. Mark, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Donal, thank you very much.
Thank you. That's Mark there speaking to us from the central bank. I actually came across one this morning that I'd never heard of. Funnily, I was looking. I would be a member of a few online sort of groups on Facebook linked with travel and one particular sort of travel provider in particular, and a company I've used for many years and have enjoyed many holidays with. And there was a forum, and a person came on the forum and said, "It's an absolute disgrace the way I'm being treated. I had a query and I rang them and they told me I needed to pay more port charges and taxes." And a number of people immediately came back and went, "Hang on a tick, that doesn't make sense. Did you ring the number that the company provided you on your booking forms and invoices, or did you Google it?" The person came back and said, "I Googled it." It now transpires that one of the things that's appearing on Google, and this is something I hadn't heard of before, and this is something I'm certainly putting into my armoury, they looked up the number for a company that we'll call, for the sake of argument, Donal Kavanagh Travel. And they'll Google Donal Kavanagh Travel queries, and a number will come up, and it'll say, "Donal Kavanagh Travel queries. Enjoy travelling with Donal Kavanagh. All your queries here. Any issues, give a ring." The person saw it, assumed it was genuine because we're now in a situation where if you go into Google, most search engines, you go into a search engine, you almost know now the first page is all going to be sponsored ads. I mean, you go searching for a hotel, and I made this mistake once. I'll never make it again. You go searching for a hotel, and you'll get a web address it'll be something like booking.hotelofyourchoice.splodgesplodge.com. What you're actually getting is the address of a booking company that will offer you that hotel, but it's not the hotel's own website. And likewise, this number put them through, not to the company that they wanted to ask the question of, but put them through to some scammers who basically said, the problem here is you need to pay more taxes. Here's the number. Send us the money and that'll solve your problem. And thankfully, they did not send the money. They didn't get caught. But I'd never heard of that one before. So even be careful now when you're on a search engine, Google or whichever, that if you're looking to contact a company, make sure it is the company that you're contacting, because that's what actually happened. The person thought they were speaking to a representative of the company. They weren't. They were speaking to a scammer. Now, it's at 23 minutes at this stage to 10 o'clock. Going to take a short break. Back after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
At Hidden Hearing right now, get up to €2,000 off state-of-the-art hearing aids, even if you don't qualify for PRSI. Visit hiddenhearing.ie today. T's and C's apply.
Introducing Flow for Men, my new fragrance collection of products created to keep you feeling fresh and looking sharp. The ideal gift for the man in your life. Find Flow in pharmacies nationwide or online at flowbybo.com. Start every day with confidence.
Your home is likely the most expensive decision you'll ever make. The Property Services Regulatory Authority is here to protect you when you're bidding, buying or renting, should things go wrong with your auctioneer, sales or letting agent. So you can make sure that the most expensive decision you'll ever make doesn't end up costing you more than it should. To learn more about your PSRA consumer protections, visit psr.ie. A message from the Property Services Regulatory Authority.
Enhanced TFI Local Link Route 953. Greencastle to Letterkenny now operates 8 daily return services Monday to Friday, 7 daily return services on Saturday and 6 daily return services on Sunday. Route 953 provides peak time and evening services, connectivity to ATU Donegal and regional bus services. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you. See locallinkdsl.ie for more. Brought to you as part of the Connecting Ireland Rural Mobility Plan.
Have you got your tickets for the Highland Radio Christmas concert? Get ready for a night of great music on Monday, December the 9th in the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. You can enjoy an incredible lineup with Mike Denver and his band, John McNichol, Jim Devine, Donna Taggart, Owen Mack and me, David James. Get your tickets now at the outlet at highlandradio.com, Alexander's Bala Buffet, the Cope Dunlow, the Mount Erigal Hotel, Simpsons Bar Carndonagh, or give us a call on 074 91 25000. Don't miss this Christmas cracker.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh on the programme with you this morning. Going to go to our next guest in just a moment, speaking about an element of the general election result. But just to give us one moment for that, before we go any further, I did promise you a second competition on the programme today. With thanks to the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa, we're giving you the chance to win their Pamper Me Please package. It's worth €130. This 2.5 hour spa package includes an aromatic steam session and cocoon room. Is that cocoon? I wonder. It possibly isn't. I don't know if cocoon is a thing, but I suspect it might be cocoon. A hot towel, foot and back cleanse, a stress-relieving back massage, a Yonka facial with face and scalp massage, a pressure point foot massage, and a snooze room relaxation time with refreshments. And I know a lot of people that could do with that. Quite a few of us not too far away from here, actually. To begin with a chance of winning this fantastic prize on Friday, simply answer this question. Which Christmas song mentions a one-horse open sleigh? Is it A, Jingle Bells, or B, White Christmas? Please text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25 000. Which Christmas song mentions a one-horse open sleigh? Is it Jingle Bells or White Christmas? Please WhatsApp your name, address and answer to 086 60 25,000. Now, the results of the general election, and they have thrown 170, is it 172, 173 TDs. And we're joined on the line on Zoom by Katie Deegan, who's Communications Director with Women for Election. Katie, you're very welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. We've spoken before, Katie, about the importance of getting more women into Dáil Éireann. A lot of discussion over the past number of months about gender quotas and the fact that the main parties were required to have 40% of their candidates women. Looking now, as of this morning, this is as of earlier this week, 39 women had been elected when this briefing note was written. It's I think it's in and around about the 44 mark now.
44,
It is 44. Now, these figures you believe are positive, but given that there's over 170 TDs, more is needed to be done here.
Yeah, so 44 women have been elected across constituencies in Ireland, which amounts to about 25% of all of our TDs. Because of the additional seats, it is a net gain of about 7 women compared to the outgoing Dáil. So it's a small percentage increase up from 23%.
In terms of the gender quota regulation that's come in, it's been the topic of a lot of conversation. In your view, has it worked?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the gender quotas are there to put candidates on a ballot paper. This year in the locals and in the general election, we had a record-breaking number of women running in both of those elections. We had 246 women running for seats across the country, which is brilliant. And that's what a gender quota is there to do. But I suppose the thing with gender quotas is that it's not a silver bullet. It's not there to solve the gender imbalance of our democracy in itself. It is a starting block. It's a blunt instrument. And, we don't always like what gender quotas are. Like, we don't like that we have to have them, but we like what they do. And what they do is they give the electorate a hell of a lot more choice in the candidates that they can choose from.
Now, I want to make it absolutely clear that my next question is not based on any one particular person, and I say that here for a reason. It is
Sure.
not based on one person. This question is not based on one constituency. This question is not based on one party. And I'm saying that clearly now out loud up front here in Donegal. But there has been a suggestion that in some cases what you basically got were parties chose the 2 men they wanted to run, and then they picked a third woman who was basically there to satisfy the gender quota, and they may as well have had a poster that said vote number 1 token woman. Was that an issue across the country?
Well, first and foremost, I think no woman is a token candidate.
No, absolutely
I
not.
think
And
any
I don't
woman-
believe so. But are there some parties effectively putting in a third candidate who is a woman, not because they believe that candidate has a prospect of election, not because they believe that's the right person to represent their constituency? They're doing so because there's a law that says they have to.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I think what Women for Election are going to do after this election is we're going to analyse where women ran, what length of time were they given in order to run a campaign. We know that a lot of the time women are added quite late to the ticket, and that can hinder their campaign. We also know that, this general election came really, really quickly after the local elections. So for a lot of women who were candidates in this general election, they weren't given the kind of, I suppose, the same amount of chance to get around their constituency as maybe sometimes their incumbent male partners. We know that, quota chasing can happen in parties, and that's not a secret, I don't think. But I would say that every single woman who put their name forward definitely did with the intention of thinking that they were going to represent their communities really, really well. And the other thing as well is that, we need to have a look at the structure. So gender quotas are great to get the women onto the ballot paper, but we need to look at the structures in which our democracy kind of happens. And that goes with things like, how quickly or how late we're putting women onto ballot papers, the selection processes within parties, the attitudes towards women in leadership in society in general, and all of those things have a part to play. And I think that that's a really important analysis for Women for Election, especially going forward into the next general election.
And in terms of the barriers, and there are many barriers there, barriers that recognise, for instance, the reality that in many cases women are taking responsibility for childcare. Questions were raised with me over the course of the weekend. I was speaking to one woman who is involved in politics who had a child with her, and saying she felt that she didn't feel welcome in the count centre with her child. And she said, well, I mean, how are they supposed to get more women in when you don't feel welcome when you turn up in what is the absolute expression of democracy?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, look, childcare is one of those things that we know has been kind of a hot topic during this general election anyway, and the expense of it, and so on. And I think what's really important is that we look at, again, those structures that keep women out of politics. And one of those things is what would be really beneficial, I think, to male and female candidates who are running in general elections, is that maybe additional childcare should be considered some sort of an election cost, whether that's a percentage of it or whatever the case may be. And I think that that's really important, because we know that it's an incredibly expensive thing to do. We know that you need all hands on deck when you're running an election, and that goes from spouses help to parents help to friends and family, so it is really difficult when you have kind of smallies and you don't really know what you're going to be doing with them. And we don't want people to have that as a barrier to entering our democracy. And it's really important that working moms, working dads, single parents, all of the lived experience that comes with those things are represented in our Dáil, because ultimately that lived experience makes for better decision making within the Irish democracy.
If you look at the very top of Irish politics at the moment, it looks reasonably good. We have 3 women who are party leaders. We have a woman is the deputy leader of one of the parties which has been in government and may very well be in the next government, and she replaced a woman who was deputy leader before her. So from that point of view, when you look at your party leaders, when you look at your top party structures, it's reasonable. I mean, we have been speaking a long time that there is a woman who very much is in with the prospect of being Taoiseach, perhaps not this time, maybe the next time. Who knows what's going to happen? It's not off the table yet. So at the very top, we seem to have it. We've got strong women. We've got Mary Lou, we've got Ivana Bacik, we've got Holly Cairns. Holly Cairns indeed had a baby on the day of the election, and it didn't, it seems to have not been an issue, apart from some trolls online, and their views aren't even worth considering as far as I'm concerned. But but by and large, it's that's fine. The problem appears to be at ground level. The problem appears to be getting the candidates, and then once you have the candidates, actually getting people to vote for them.
Yeah, and look, I think it's twofold. So I think we have really amazing women that are running in leadership positions across the country, and that are, at cabinet level or are leaders of political parties. But I suppose what it does do is, when there is a small number of women who are very high profile, it almost kind of masks the problem, because, you might see Holly, Mary Lou, Ivana out and doing their thing, leading their party, and you think, oh, but I see women on my television screen all the time, so Irish politics doesn't have a gender problem. When actually what the reality is that we're 104th in the world for gender equality in national politics. We have never had a woman Taoiseach. We've never had a woman Minister for Finance. We've never had a woman Minister for Foreign Affairs. We elected the first ever cabinet minister in Europe, which was Countess Markovic, and then it took us another 60 years to do so. So I think, when you kind of lay it out like that, I think people are a bit surprised, and they go, oh gosh, I actually didn't realize that this was such a deep-rooted problem. And I suppose what Women for Election are trying to do is that we don't want you to be gender biased in a way that you think, oh, well, women can't be in leader positions. We want you to be gender conscious. We want you to go into the ballot paper, and we want you to look at the women who align with your political views. You agree with their policy and so on. And you look and you say, well, does X party have a man and a woman running? If so, I'll give the woman the higher preference, so that I'm doing my part in order to address the gender imbalance. And I think that that's only the real way that we can actually move this issue on, because ultimately we can do whatever we can to support candidates, and there's so much that we can do there. But at the end of the day, it is about what happens in the ballot box. That's what makes the real change. And in the general elections coming forward, we would hope to see that this issue would not only continue to get better like it has done this, but it would be a little bit quicker, because I'm a woman in my 20s. I don't want to be waiting another 40 years to see gender parity in my cabinet or in my Dáil and my Seanad. So I think that it's just really key that, voters are conscious of this issue when they're going in to cast their ballot.
Katie Deegan, it's a fascinating discussion. It's one we're going to have into the future, and I look forward to seeing the analysis of the result, and then how things go of women that are in politics, and a lot more talk to be had here. For the moment, Katie, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. We're now going to leave Zoom, and we are going to go to the phone, because we're joined on line one by Anne Mooney, who is a Southern correspondent with the Irish Sun newspaper. Anne, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
And New Ross in County Wexford, I presume you're there, or if you're not actually there, obviously you're in very close contact with people who are. That's a really distressing, horrific story that's been unfolding there since Sunday night.
Sorry, just a second. Sorry, somebody came in.
No, I was just saying the story.
That.
The story that's unfolding in New Ross since Sunday night is a really horrific one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and to think that an 8-year-old child who was trying to save her mother was stabbed and died as a result of the wounds that were inflicted on her has left the whole community, not only in New Ross town, but throughout the whole country, in total shock. This was an incident that happened in the family home. The little girl, Malika Al-Khadeeb, was in her bed when she heard a commotion downstairs and went down to see what was happening to discover that her mum was being attacked and had suffered a knife wound, which was non-fatal. And she intervened and in the process was actually killed after suffering a number of stab wounds herself. Her mum managed to get out of the house and ran to neighbours who contacted the emergency services, and the Garda and paramedics arrived at the scene, where the paramedics attempted to stabilise her, and then they rushed her to Waterford University Hospital, where she was pronounced dead about an hour afterwards. That was at 12:45 a.m. Yesterday morning. The alarm was raised at 12:45. So, within an hour, all of this happened. Gardaí obviously have launched a major investigation, but they said that they are following a definite line of inquiry and aren't looking for anyone in connection with it, as they believe that they know who the perpetrator was.
As we understand that a man who was at the scene is also in University Hospital Waterford with injuries believed to have been self-inflicted, under armed guard at present, and as you say, Garda not looking for anybody else in connection with this. So from the point of view of the Garda investigation,
her mum is also in hospital, being treated for wounds.
Yeah, so from the point of Garda investigation, there are no appeals out as such at the moment. The local school, the school to which she went, they've obviously had to put in some measures now to look after both children and teachers in that school who'll be very distressed at this news.
That's right. Yes, I spoke to Councillor Michael Sheehan. He's a member of Wexford County Council, who actually grew up in the William Street area, and he spoke about knowing the family and that they were involved in the community. And he said that this was an area where it's a multi-generational population, with all the kindness and generosity that brings, and that the people living there would be there to help and support the family. He also said it was a very difficult time for the girls' teachers and classmates to have to deal with this, particularly, as it was so unexpected, as I suppose. Obviously, it was unexpected. But yes, yesterday, Malika attended the Educate Together school in New Ross, and her school, the principal, through the principal, issued a statement on their website in which they spoke about the terrible tragedy for everyone, the family, the children, the school, and the community. And the school has implemented a critical incident management plan and are getting support from the National Education Psychological Service. Members of that service were actually in the school all day, supporting and advising teachers on how they should assist students. And obviously the whole student community there is going to be affected. but particularly the 8-year-olds who were in the same class as Malika and who were friends with her are going to have a particularly difficult time trying to process this and trying to, I suppose, answer the question, why did this happen?
And thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. As we say, a horrific story that's unfolding, and we hope that all involved in the school and that can get over this shock, and we will be watching obviously how that process progresses over the coming days and weeks. But for now, Anne Mooney, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. We're going to take a short break. Back after these with the weather.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. In war-torn lands, children just want to cuddle, but their parents are buried under the rubble. Little Scylla is 4, yet she walks with a frame. A bomb took her leg, causing terrible pain. She takes a deep breath and bravely walks on. Frightened and scared, Scylla just wants her mom. In Gaza and Lebanon, in the silence between the bombs, children's nightmares rage on. UNICEF is on the ground providing life-saving food. Please donate at unicef.ie and help save children's lives. Thank you.
Hi, I'm at the Garda station, but it's nothing. I told this girl I was seeing for a while that I'd put shots of her up online. Shots she sent me, so they're mine really. I only said I'd do it, but the guards are saying that's a crime now. It's not my fault, Mum. I didn't do anything. I only said I would.
Threatening to share intimate images is a crime with serious consequences. Contact your local Garda station if you need to report it. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenney's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhenneys.com.
Well, after a dry but foggy, frosty start, there'll be some bright spells this morning. The cloud will thicken, though, from the west. Scattered outbreaks of rain and drizzle will move in from the west during the course of the afternoon and evening, possibly falling as sleet for a time over higher ground. Highest temperatures today ranging from 5 to 9 degrees Celsius in moderate southerly breezes, and that's the weather for now. Lots coming up in the second half of the show, in the second hour of the show, including, of course, our Community Garda information slot with Garda Grania Doherty. That's coming up within the next 20 minutes or so, but we'll also have, of course, news and obituary notices coming too. We'll take a short break and we'll be back for R2 after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Cén fág am rúcht an Vulcan? An bhfuil éifeacht ag inscanna Ghana? Cén dóir as an Crystal? An óbhríon overhália? Cén cuí cothíoch an spás? Cad is cúis le tinardí éagsú le fuma? An bhfuil éifeacht ag ráic na sula am las?
Tá páistí lán de cheist na fisracha. Tug an blast óliaach de ESB atá curtha ar fáil an RDS, cuacht de fáistí an óliaach de tátaimh hir de cheist na siimplí a isrú. Díra cosú leis na ceist na seo. Cuir ceist do runga ag esbscienceblast.com.
The Mother and Baby Institution's payment scheme is now open for applications. This scheme provides financial payments and health supports to eligible people who spend time in mother and baby and county home institutions in Ireland. There's a straightforward application process in place to help everyone access the benefits that they are entitled to. To find out more, visit gov.ie/payment scheme or call the helpline at 01 522 9992, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
At Londis, we wish our customers in Donegal a very happy Christmas. We know what locals want because we are local like you, even as local as Lough Swilly on a beautiful crisp winter's day. Happy Christmas from Londis.
If you need an eye test, look no further than Louis Walsh Opticians. Letterkenny's longest established opticians are delighted to welcome patients new and old to their state-of-the-art practice in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Their latest technology includes a 3D OCT retinal camera, which assesses the health of your eyes in minutes. Private, medical card and PRSI patients welcome. Call 91 21000 to arrange your eye test.
Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny. Your vision, our focus.
We all know who young Mr. Kelly is, and what he did, and what happened to his poor, poor father.
Ballyglasane, new drama series every Wednesday night at 8 on Highland Radio.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. Labour seem prepared to go into opposition once again in the next Dáil. With all eyes turning to government formation talks, there's speculation that the party is the preferred coalition partner by Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. Labour has 11 TDs and could enter government alongside Fianna Fáil's 48 and Fine Gael's 38 TDs. However, party leader Ivana Bacik says she's unwilling to enter negotiations alone at this point. Former Labour strategist Fergus Finlay is warning against a Labour-backed government.
That means we'd make life easier for them. That's not the job of the Labour Party, and it never was the job of the Labour Party. And it's a basis on which there is no possibility of any kind of leverage.
Well, St Vincent de Paul says incoming government needs a vision for an equal and inclusive society. The charity says it's time to have the conversation about promises made in the run-up to the election. St Vincent de Paul's research and policy officer Niamh Dazzle says there were key pledges made that they want to see become a reality.
We have 18 recommendations. There are many things within that. We want to see the government maintain the Child Poverty and Wellbeing Unit. We want to see social welfare payments should be separated from the annual budgetary cycle and instead work from a new social welfare commission with a goal of moving towards adequacy based on the minimum essential standards of living.
The HSE has confirmed it will give consideration to a proposal to expand Ballymacool Respite House in Letterkenny. Councillor Jerry McMonigal proposed extending the facility in light of the serious need for additional respite beds in Donegal. Ballymacool Respite House and Seaview House in Mount Charles are the only two centres providing respite care in the county. Staff recruitment issues continue to hamper efforts to reopen Riverwalk Respite House in Carndonagh. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says much more needs to be done for those in need in Donegal.
We know people who have been waiting 6 months, a year, some longer for respite, and the service hasn't been there for them. And we need to do better at that. And the only way we can do better at that is increase our bed capacity. And that's why I asked that they should look at Ballymacool. I think the land is available adjacent to the current facility, and that we build a large extension with multiple beds capacity there for those who are waiting respite in County Donegal.
Investigations continue today into the death of an 8-year-old girl in County Wexford yesterday. Malika Al-Khatib died after suffering stab wounds in an assault at her home in New Ross on Sunday night. Her parents remain in hospital for treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. Garda say they are investigating all the circumstances surrounding the young girl's death. Local councillor John Dwyer says the community of New Ross is deeply upset.
Many people in New Ross will have known this child and will have known that the mother, certainly, who's from the locality. She's a Kilkenny woman. There are no words that can adequately describe how people are feeling. There's a real sense of numb and shock.
A candlelight vigil is being held in Derry next week in memory of women who lost their lives to violence. The event, organised by Foyle Women's Aid, will hear from the families of 21-year-old Katie Simpson from County Armagh, who died 6 days after being hospitalised with serious injuries following an incident at a house in County Derry in 2020, and 65-year-old Montserrat Martorell, originally from Spain, who was brutally attacked in August this year in Derry before being left in her burning flat. The vigil on Tuesday at 5:15 at Guildhall Square marks 16 days of action. And a public consultation is taking place in Strabane this week, where public realm improvement plans will be on display. It follows the announcement of a £7 million capital investment in the scheme, which will see improvements made to the town's streetscape, lighting, footpaths and traffic flow. The information session will take place on Thursday between 1 and 7 p.m. at Strabane Library. For weather now, scattered outbreaks of rain and drizzle will spread this afternoon and evening, possibly falling as sleet for a time over high ground. Highest temperatures of 5 to 9 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notice says for this Tuesday morning, December the 3rd. The death has taken place of Eamon Doherty, 2 Derryveigh Avenue, Letterkenny, and formerly from Ashlawn, Letterkenny. Eamon's remains will repose at his sister Nuala Higgins' residence at 21 Sleeve Snack Close, Letterkenny, today from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock and tomorrow from 12 noon until 10 o'clock, with rosary both nights at 9 o'clock. Funeral from there on Thursday morning at 10:30, going to the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Ballyrea in Letterkenny for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed on the parish YouTube channel. Interment afterwards to All Saints Church Cemetery, Newton Cunningham. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. Family flowers only, please. The death has occurred of Cecilia Barr in her 100th year, formerly of Father Mulvey Park and Cable Street, Derry. Cecilia is reposing at her niece Marie's home at 34 Brandywell Road, Derry. Funeral leaving there tomorrow morning at 9:20 to St Eugene's Cathedral for Requiem Mass at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. The death has taken place of Maya Crumlish, née Byrne, Churchtown, Carndonagh. Her remains are reposing at her late residence, Churchtown, Carndonagh, from 11 o'clock this morning. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:15 to the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish webcam. Family flowers only, please. Family time from 10 o'clock. The death has taken place in Luton of Dennis Doherty, Toner, Swansdale Road, Limbury Mead, Luton, and formerly of Faldoff, Carndonagh. His remains will repose at Kelly's Funeral Home, Carndonagh, from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock today and tomorrow from 2 o'clock until 7 o'clock. Removal at 7 o'clock to the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh, to repose overnight. Funeral Mass at 11 o'clock on Thursday morning, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish webcam. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Carndonagh Community Hospital, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Elizabeth Frances Stewart, née Wilson, formerly of Liskey House, Strabane, and latterly of 21 Kavanagh Court View, Ballymagorry, County Tyrone. A private funeral service with family only will take place at her home tomorrow, with burial afterwards at Douglas Presbyterian Church at 1 o'clock. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Foyle Hospice. The death has taken place of Tiernan Doherty, 14 Convent Road, Carndonagh. Remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there on Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock, going to the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh, for 1:30 Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Finn McLaughlin, 7 Ray Mahy Heights, Manor, Cunningham. Funeral Mass tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, with burial afterwards in the family plot in Cornwall Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on steunanscathedral.ie. Family flowers only, with donations in lieu of flowers if desired to Pieta House. The death has occurred of Paddy Logue, 38 Listymore Park, Castlederg, reposing at the family home today from 12 noon until 10 o'clock. Funeral from the family home tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 for Requiem Mass at 1 o'clock in St Francis of Assisi Church, Drumna Bay. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place in London of Charles Charlie Fox, formerly of Beechwood Road, Letterkenny. His remains will repose at Letterkenny Funeral Home, Port Road, today from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in Cornwall Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Seamus Devine, lad, 43 Rusky Road, Donamana. Remains reposing at his home. Funeral from there this morning at 11:20 for 12 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Killeen, Donamana. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. And the death has taken place of Gary McGrath and Shaw killed Dunfanaghy, formerly of Belfast. Gary's remains are reposing at his home. Requiem Mass at Holy Cross Church, Dunfanaghy today at 12 noon, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live at mcn.live. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if so desired to the Donegal Hospice or the Friends of St Luke's at care of Harkin Funeral Directors or any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Get into the festive spirit with amazing Christmas value at Aldi. A choice of festive party food, including mini veggie spring rolls from just 99 cents. From December 20th, Board Bia quality assured 100% Irish turkeys from just $8.99. They'll fly out the door. And Elite Mikado biscuits now only $7.99. Save €5. Save a couple for me while you're at it. Aldi, have a cracking Christmas. Biscuit offer available until December 4th and quantity restrictions apply while stocks last.
Welcome back to hour 2 of the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio this morning. I want to start off with a really, really important request. Could you please wish Hannah Doherty McCarran of Clea Clonmany and Manchester a very happy 100th birthday today. Family are travelling from all over Donegal today to help her celebrate. Wishing them all a good and safe journey, and that comes from Hannah's family. Many thanks. And Hannah Doherty McCarran, Clea Clonmany and Manchester, have a wonderful, wonderful birthday. I hope you have a great day. Now, the Irish Blood Transfusion Service have been in touch. They are in Donegal this week. Today they're in Killybegs in St Catherine's School. They're there from 6 o'clock until 20 to 10 this evening. Tomorrow there, and on Thursday indeed, they're in Donegal Town, the Abbey Hotel on the Diamond in Donegal Town. They're there tomorrow from 3 until 5:15, and again from 7 until 20 to 10. And they're in the Abbey Hotel again on Thursday from 2:30 until 20 to 7 that evening. So they're there tomorrow, as I say, from 3 until 5:10, and then 7 to 20 to 10. And then on Thursday, they're in the Abbey Hotel from 2:30 until 20 to 7. And today they're in Killybegs in St Catherine's School in Killybegs, to be precise. And they're there from 6 o'clock this evening until 20 to 10 tonight. And if you're in a position to give blood, it's a very important service. Caller asks, I wonder what the age profile was of the Fianna Fáil vote versus Sinn Féin in the general election. Will it be a case that a larger aged profile of the electorate voted for Fianna Fáil, possibly against, in some cases, their own children's desire for redress-leaning candidates? Thus, Thomas Pringle loses his seat and the minister that they wished toppled remained. Now, I think there is no doubt that there is probably a core Fianna Fáil vote that is a little older. There are those who will have grown up in that sort of traditional, is it a Fianna Fáil house or a Fine Gael house? And that would have been a big thing years back. I mean, I know certainly my beloved wife comes from a mixed marriage where one of her parents was Fianna Fáil and one of her parents was Fine Gael. But I think that's losing its relevance to a large extent. So, certainly my children would have no political leanings, and quite frankly, my children, if you ask my children what's the history of Fianna Fáil versus Fine Gael, they'd look at you blankly and they wouldn't really know. They would be working very much on the local personalities and the people they know and, the people they hear on the radio and read about in the papers, etc. So I think that traditional maybe Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael thing is gone. It's certainly no longer a two-party state. That's been made absolutely clear. The days when basically Ireland was Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and a couple of others, that day's gone, well and truly gone. in terms of Fianna Fáil. Yeah, I'm sure there is a slightly older cohort of people that will be voting in that way. But, I mean, if you look at people, for instance, I mean, and I'm just going to pluck one name out. You look at Ben Harkin, for instance, from Young Fianna Fáil, very articulate young man. He was going to run for the nomination, but withdrew from the convention. But, I mean, you know, a highly articulate young man who's in his 20s and, you know, there are young people there who will be supportive as well. It's an interesting question, and thank you to Washington for putting it there. It's one to put out there. But no, I mean, I would certainly, yes, there is probably an older cohort who would be more likely to vote for Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, but that's not to say that there aren't young, and there's young articulate people in Fine Gael and in Fianna Fáil and in Sinn Féin and in all the parties. A very important issue. And Paul messages to say, I'm just messaging to raise the serious concern with regards to sudden death and suicide among young men in Donegal. It's out of control. We need to come together as a county to save our young men. Is there enough support in the county? Do we need resources or expertise? 5 individuals have been elected this week. This is something they need to start addressing. A vision and support for young men in Donegal. And Paul, I don't think anyone would disagree with that. It has been an issue in the past. Sadly, it is an issue to this day. And we do certainly need a conversation in Dublin and in our own homes with regards to this issue and what needs to be done. There is more of an emphasis now than ever before on mental health, and particularly the mental health of young men, and that conversation needs to continue and to be amplified. I don't think anyone could disagree with that. Community Garda information coming up in just a few moments. It's 16 minutes past 10. And that means if you play Highland Radio Vision Ireland Radio Bingo, it's time to grab your books, it's time to grab your pens, and without further ado, after a wait that's, I'm sure for some people too long, let's hand you over to Canis.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 3rd of December. You're playing for the daily prize of €1,200 on the brown sheet. The reference number is S2. It's game number 49. The numbers are 72, 37, 77, 18, 8, 40, 50, 90, 80, and finally 62. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Introducing Flow for Men, my new fragrance collection of products created to keep you feeling fresh and looking sharp. The ideal gift for the man in your life. Find Flow in pharmacies nationwide or online at flowbybo.com. Start every day with confidence.
Cupra. People tend to become obsessed. What is it? Where do I find it? How do I get one? And the new Cupra range will only increase that sense of desire. With power options from petrol and diesel to plug-in hybrid and full electric. Experience the new Leon, the new Formentor and the new all-electric Born VZ. Available now with exclusive offers. That thing you feel? It's called obsession. Visit CupraOfficial.ie.
Your local Cupra dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 97 21396. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Well, this is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It is a Tuesday morning, and it being a Tuesday morning, that means only one thing.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
And it is time indeed for Garda Community Information on the programme this morning. Delighted to welcome into studio Garda Gráinne Doherty. Gráinne, good morning. Gráinne, we're going to start, and it's a sad place to be starting, but a fatal road collision earlier this week in Inishowen.
Yeah, Yes, Gardaí are appealing for witnesses following a fatal road traffic collision. This occurred near Buncrana on Sunday the 1st of December. The single vehicle collision occurred on the R244, so on the mountain road there, short outside Buncrana, at Ballinlough, shortly after 5 a.m. The driver and the sole occupant of the car, an adult male in his teens, was fatally injured in this collision, Tiernan Doherty. And I'd just like, on behalf of us all at Garda Síochána, to pass our condolences to Tiernan's family and close friends. We are appealing for any witnesses to this collision to come forward. Any road users who may have camera footage, dash cam footage, who are travelling in that area between 4:30am and 5:30am are asked to make this footage available to the investigating Gardaí. Anybody with any information is asked to contact Buncrana Gardaí on 932 0540, the Garda Confidential line on 1800 666 111, or any Garda station.
And staying on the roads in an incident on the north of the peninsula on Sunday night.
Yeah, a number of hours later, actually on the same date, Sunday the 1st. So Garda are investigating this collision. It's involved a single vehicle. It occurred at Kilkenny, Malin. So it was on the Malin to Glengad Road, just near the Fisherman's Inn there, on Sunday the 1st of December, shortly after 11:45pm. This car collided with a building at that location. The single female occupant of the car was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital and remains there to receive medical treatment for serious injuries sustained. So Gardaí and Buncrana are appealing for any witnesses to this collision to come forward. Any road users, again, who might have dash cam footage and who may have been travelling in that area between 11:30pm and 11:50pm are asked to make this footage also available to investigating Gardaí. Again, anyone with information is asked to contact Buncrana Garda station on 932 0540, the Garda Confidential line again on 1800 666 111, or any Garda station.
Now going back now to Tuesday of last week, and again a car and a pedestrian involved in an incident in Buncrana.
Yeah, Gardaí are appealing for witnesses to this collision. It involved a car and a pedestrian at the Dr Dennis McLaughlin Road in Buncrana on Tuesday the 26th of November in and around 5:20pm. The pedestrian concerned was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital to receive treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. No other injuries were reported. So we're appealing to anybody who may have witnessed this collision to make contact with Gardaí in Buncrana, again on 932 0540. Quite a busy time of the evening, 5:20pm, and we're hopeful somebody may have been in that area with a dash cam, and if they were, as always, we ask them to please make that footage available to us.
Heading out toward West Donegal, I remember years ago we used to get lots of appeals for thefts of copper piping and copper from houses, and one of those to report this week.
Yeah, so this burglary, it occurred in the area of Drumnaraw, Creasla, between Friday the 25th of October and Saturday the 30th of November, so it was only recently realised that this had taken place. A vacant house in that area was entered after the back door had been forced open. A copper cylinder was stolen from the hot press within the house. We're appealing to anybody who may have observed any suspicious activity or vehicles in that area over the course of those few weeks to make contact with Gardaí in Milford on 91 Any relevant information may alternatively be passed on to the Garda Confidential line. And just incidents just such as these, I know it was a thing in the past. I think it might have been maybe again this time last year that there was quite a number of these sorts of incidents. So I know there's quite a few weeks span here. There's about 4 weeks, time span, but it just serves as a good reminder also to people, that these incidents are happening. These criminals are out. They're out and about in the dark hours, the wee hours. And just to take precautions, keep an eye out for your neighbours, especially if you have neighbours who are maybe vulnerable or elderly living alone. Keep a wee eye out. If you ever see vehicles around their house or any vehicles in your area that just seem a wee bit untoward, jot down the registration number. Please do contact us, make us aware. Any activity that just doesn't seem right, doesn't sit right with you, please do make Gardaí aware. We're also asking people as well, just please secure your homes, turn on your lights, make sure your house is locked. And don't keep any valuables in there. If you have valuables such as jewellery that you have to keep at home, keep them in a secure safe, but don't keep large amounts of cash at home.
And maybe in terms of homes that are vacant, perhaps have a timer on lights or something, just because it's clear, as you said, from this point of view, it happened pretty much at some stage over the month of November. So we can assume from that the house was vacant for the month of November. Maybe no harm just to have a timer on the lights, have lights go on and off, basically give the impression that there's somebody life around.
Yeah, well, even those dusted on lights, have them, to the rear around the property so that the exterior of the house, even it is a vacant house, so that it's lit up. When darkness falls, these lights will come on and off automatically, or maybe ask a neighbour or somebody just to check in the house regularly for you.
Moving on, Grania, to a criminal damage incident in Convoy last week.
Yes, this incident happened in the area of Clough Convoy In the early hours of Thursday the 28th of November, in around 2:50 a.m, a bedroom window of a house in that area was smashed, and a window to the side of the front door also. So we're appealing to anybody, again, who may have travelled in that area with a dash cam between 2:30 a.m. and 3 a.m. to make the footage available to Garda. If you hadn't got a dash cam, if you were out and about in the roads that night and you observed any vehicles seemed untoward or any activity, please let us know also. Anybody with any relevant information can contact Letterkenny Garda Station on 9167100.
A car theft now in Letterkenny took place last week.
Yes, so this car was stolen from Manderley Court car park down near Larkin's Lane there in Letterkenny between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Thursday the 28th of November. The car in question is a black Ford Mondeo, registration number 162C6166. Should anybody have any information in relation to the theft of the car or in relation to its current location, we're asking them to contact Letterkenny Garda on 9167100. And as always, for all of our appeals, the Garda Confidential line may be contacted on 1800 666 111.
Fraudulent notes coming back in, and they seem to come and go with depressing regularity on the slot. But again, another issue with regards to counterfeit £50 sterling notes this time.
Yeah, well, actually, this was on air with you here I think it was 2 weeks ago. There was a couple of incidents reported in the Buncrana area. Unfortunately, since then, we've had another couple of incidents reported just in recent days, actually. So it was our warning that we issued 2 weeks ago was in relation to counterfeit £50 sterling notes. They were Bank of Scotland notes. They were in circulation in Buncrana on Saturday the 16th of November. So since then, on the 24th of November, a man and a woman entered the same shop, on two separate occasions during the day on November 24th in Buncrana. They both presented counterfeit 50 sterling notes, again Bank of Scotland notes. They received their change for their items that they bought. They left the store, and it was only afterwards that it was realised that these notes were fraudulent. On November 26th, a man entered a takeaway in Buncrana, ordered food. He paid using this counterfeit sterling £50 note, and when he received his change, he immediately left. He didn't wait to hang around to collect his food. He just left, and that was very similar to the incident that occurred on November 16th. So just for maybe food outlets, restaurants, takeaways, just to take that on board, that these people don't hang around for the food either. Just be very cautious. Around the Buncrana area, but around Donegal in general. I mean, it's not confined to Buncrana. I'm sure this could happen anywhere within the county. So we're just urging all business owners in Buncrana and right across Donegal to be aware that these fake notes are in circulation, to advise their staff to thoroughly check all notes received, especially now we're entering a very busy shopping season, and some of these notes can be produced in a very professional manner. And the best way to ensure that it is genuine currency is to have staff use a counterfeit note checker pen or similar methods at the points of payments. Just be alert. We're just advising all retailers.
Yeah, obviously there'll be quite a lot of Northern Ireland banknotes in circulation, particularly at this time. I wouldn't have thought there'd be that many Bank of Scotland notes in circulation within Donegal.
No, well, it was all Bank of Scotland notes now within the past few weeks with them. But then, look, that's not to say you could just as easily get a fake €50 note or a €20 note. So just all points, any notes handed in whatsoever. And sometimes I think too, maybe I know I worked in a shop years ago, and it would have been especially I find when you're a teenager that you're a wee bit cautious about, you're kind of feeling embarrassed because the person's standing there and it looks like you don't trust them and you're there checking their notes. Don't be one bit embarrassed. It's just, make it a policy in your store, check all notes, regardless of what the currency is.
And I suppose in particular, if it's a Bank of Scotland 50 and you can't see too many of those, I mean, absolutely maybe be doubly careful.
Be extra wary.
A lot of talk this week, obviously. Last Friday was Black Friday and yesterday was Cyber Monday, and these days, of course, Black Friday seems to start on the 1st of November and last until December 10th, and the same with the Cyber Monday thing. So a lot of online shopping taking place this week, a lot of people going online in cases, and I'm sure over the next couple of weeks as well, people go, oh God, I never got X for such and such a person, and they'll rush on, and maybe the first chance they get to buy X, they'll jump on it and they'll buy it, and hand over details that on a normal time in the year they wouldn't even dream of putting online. No. And it is time to be careful. It
is. And as you say, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, back a few years ago, it was on the Friday and it was on the Monday, and now it lasts over, and it's going to continue over the next few weeks. There's going to be lots of bargains advertised online. So, and especially, look, with Christmas fast approaching, there's going to be an increase in the numbers of people shopping online. Some scams can be very obvious, and others can be more elaborate and very difficult to recognise. So just knowing what to look for and how to avoid scams is the best way to stay safe. So the Garda National Economic Crime Bureau, they have issued a number of tips to help protect against online fraud. They're calling them the golden rules of online shopping. So we're just asking people to use secure websites, trusted sources. Make sure that the website you're on is real, not cloned or fake. Make sure your internet access is secure. Make sure there is a HTTPS at the beginning of the web address and a padlock symbol displayed, because the website address before a purchase is made, this indicates a secure connection. The padlock symbol doesn't make a website legitimate on its own. When the beginning of the retailer's website address changes from HTTP to HTTPS before a purchase is made, it means you can be sure then that that is a secure connection. I know I'm going through a lot here. It's actually all up on our Garda Facebook page too for people to look at after the show, that they can go through these tips online. Check reviews, that's very important. Check reviews for this. If it's a new website, you haven't used it before, go online and check reviews to make sure that it is genuine. Check the ratings for the website. Look for the trust seals. Trust seals are commonly placed on home pages, login pages and checkout pages. They're immediately recognisable and they just remind you that you are secure when you're using that page. Always use credit cards when purchasing online because they have a strong customer protection policy. Alternatively, use an online payment option. Do not send money directly to someone you don't know. That's common sense. You know, you're not going to give money to a random person on the street, so it's no different when you're spending money on the internet. Never send your credit card details, including your PIN number or any other information, to anybody by email. If you don't complete a purchase, don't submit or save your card details. Never purchase through social media or where the offer came to you via social media, because there's so many scams now on social media. Just be extra careful. Yep. Stop, think and check before committing to buy anything online. There's consumer review sites such as Trustpilot.com, quite a good one there. You can go on and read reviews from other customers from before to see how reliable the website is. You should use check.cyberskills.ie and fraudsmart.scamchecker.ie. I went on to that one last night. Yep. The FraudSmart one.
Yep.
And you just go in and there's a box there. You input the website that you're planning to spend your money
on. I have it open on my own phone. It's a lovely yellow colour.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great. It gives you all the warnings, any warnings associated with it, whether to trust it, when and it's so easy to do. And please.
And actually, you don't even have to put in the FraudSmart. Just scamchecker.ie.
Scamchecker.ie, you'll get you there. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And you could save yourself a fortune if you go on there, and it's worth taking the few minutes to do that before you buy online.
Yeah, and in case anyone's wondering why I was speaking earlier to Mark Ford from the Central Bank, and I mentioned to him that there was a really good app launched recently, and he agreed. That's the one I was talking about, the Scam Checker. We had a story up about it on the news yesterday as well. So that was just launched by FraudSmart. So that is a really, really important one. And sort of just be careful out there. We all have, there are major ones that we do shop with. And just remind you, by the way, and I just want to put the little local plug in here, the Buy Donegal campaign is running at the moment, and there's a website whereby you can hook up through the Buy Donegal website, which is run by Donegal County Council and others, and it gives you the opportunity to make contact with local firms here in Donegal, and you could buy online or in person. And if you're considering your online shopping, let's just say, as well as your big conglomerates like your Amazons, there's Buy Donegal initiatives out there as well, and they're worth a look and consideration as well.
Important to shop local.
Oh, absolutely. Let's look at an event that's coming up on this coming Friday, and the Giblin family in Lisnanen in Letterkenny always put on a wonderful Christmas event, and you just want to have a little word to those who are going to have a look.
Yeah, so Friday, this coming Friday is right, December 6th at 6 p.m. The annual Christmas Nativity Lights event, and it's an aid in multiple charities. It kicks off every year in Lisnanen, so it's kicking off this Friday at 6 p.m. This event draws quite a large crowd in, so we just want road users, residents in that area, just to remind them really that the event is on, to remind them that traffic may be heavy in the area around that time, and we're just asking everybody who's planning on attending to please park in a responsible manner. Don't block access for residents, in the area. And don't block access for emergency services, most importantly. And just don't park in an illegal manner, really. Garda will be there to manage the traffic. And we're asking everybody, as always, and in fairness, people do every year, we're very appreciative. They always do obey all instructions given by us. So we'd ask them to do the same this year, please.
Yeah, and fair play to people like Tom and his family, and the Worskis in Fanad as well. So there's so much wonderful work it gets done, putting up lights and things like that. So please just do anything we can really to make sure that it all goes smoothly. Before you go, Grania, we got a press release in from the Garda press office that they've been crunching some numbers, and people's perception of An Garda Síochána's work in their community remains positive. That's according to the Garda Public Attitude Survey. 89% of respondents trusting on Garda Síochána, the vast majority of young people, 90%, and 87% saying they're treated with respect by Gardaí. That they're gratifying figures, particularly for people who are working in the sort of the community Garda area.
It is, yeah. So it's great. It's brilliant this morning to hear such positive feedback from the Public Attitude Survey. You know, and it's extremely important to us that the public have confidence in us, and that they have confidence in us as an organisation, and also in the services that we provide to them. And we certainly do strive to provide the best service that we can to our community. So we're delighted this morning with those figures.
And I suppose too, from the community Garda point of view, you know, the more that's done at community level, the more you're increasing trust, and maybe the more you're also in one way preventing incidents from taking place, generating that trust, generating that level of knowledge. And the more that Gardaí can do in terms of reaching out to people, the less potential there is for trouble, and you know, the more harmony and peace there's going to be.
Of course, yeah. And the community policing side of our job is actually it's really lovely. You know, you're meeting everybody from all walks of life, all ages. You're out in the creches, you're in the schools, you're at local events, community events. We go to the Wednesday clubs, the Friday clubs, meet the elderly. You know, so it's great, and you build up a rapport too with people. You know, you get to know them, and in and out. When we're on the beat, we're in and out of the shops and talking to the staff and getting to know people within it's kind of more old school. The old school style of policing, really, the way it was years ago, where the guards would have known, you know, everybody's name in the community, and it is a really nice area of policing to be in, definitely.
Absolutely. Garda Doherty, thank you very much indeed for that. And we obviously, if anyone can help with anything there, they can call the Garda station as outlined. We'll be putting all this on our website. It'll be on the Garda Síochána Donegal website as well. And look, the bottom line, as we always say, you don't necessarily need to call the Garda station number itself. If you get in touch with any Garda station, that they'll be able to help you. And finally, as I always do, could you just give us a final blast of the Garda confidential line, just in case people want to use that?
Yeah, 1800 666 111. And as I said before, you're not even talking to a human being when you ring that number. It's an automated service. It's like leave your message after the bleep, so you don't even have to provide so much as your name. You can just give whatever information you have to give and hang up. Totally confidential.
Grania, thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91 Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Thinking of getting a new car in 2025? Why not get one in 2026 as well? Buy a selected 251 Nissan and we'll replace it with a 261 Nissan for free. For details about this and all our 251 offers, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Give the gift of beauty and rejuvenation this Christmas with the voucher from Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Edore. Your loved one can choose from a range of transformative treatments, including PDO thread lifts and skin boosters designed to improve facial contours by lifting and tightening the skin. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin concerns. Christmas party hair and makeup packages available. Secure your voucher at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Edore on 07495 32575.
Zach Bryan, live at Phoenix Park. Friday and Saturday, June 20th and 21st. Subject to license. Tickets $121.25 go on sale this Thursday at 8 a.m. Maybe subject to fees. Presented by Aiken Promotions.
Christmas has arrived at Patterson's. Christmas trees and decorations now on display. Christmas gifts, from Hollywood mirrors to wall art to home fragrances, you'll find the perfect gift at Patterson's. There's a large range of dining tables and chairs, sofas, mattresses and bedroom furniture in stock and ready for Christmas delivery. Open Monday to Saturday 9 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. with free local delivery. Patterson's the Hall Lifford, for everything you need this Christmas.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Ballyshannon should attend the clinic in Colóiste Columkill in Ballyshannon on Monday 2nd of December. Donors from Killybegs should attend the clinic in St Catherine's School in Killybegs on Tuesday 3rd, and donors from Donegal Town and Dunlow should attend the clinic in the Abbey Hotel in Donegal Town on Wednesday 4th and Thursday 5th. Making an appointment is recommended, so call 1-800 731 137 or visit our website to book your time. New donors are vital. Visit giveblood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details, because we count on you.
The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Just want to remind you of our Secret Santa competition in conjunction with Cadbury. Their Secret Santa promo, it's in its 7th year. To celebrate the return of the Secret Santa promo, they have 22,000 chocolate bars to give away. We also have 2 huge hampers that can be won. There's also a €50 voucher to be won every day. All you need to do is tell us who you would want to surprise with a Secret Santa bar this year. Why do they deserve it? What good reason do you have to surprise someone with a Cadbury Secret Santa bar? Tell us about that person in your life who deserves that treat. You could win €50 today. You also get into a draw to win a Cadbury hamper for you and your Secret Santa. And with all thanks to Cadbury Secret Santa, don't forget, if you want to send a bar to someone in secret, look out for the special posters around the country. And you can text or WhatsApp us on 086 60 25,000 with your nominations as to who you would like to see win one of those Secret Santa bars. And I think my camera has just fallen down. Yeah, that looks a bit better. I think you want to see me rather than see the mixer. Well, mind you, the mixer is probably better looking than I am, but we won't worry about that too much. Now, and you can, as I say, with your nomination, just send in the name of your nomination, why you're nominating them. Send that to 086 60 25,000. Just mark it Cadbury Secret Santa, and we can take it from there. Now, we need to discuss a very important issue. Almost 1 in 7 Irish people believe a woman is at least partially responsible if she suffers sexual violence while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. That's according to the findings of new EU-wide research. We're joined by Dr. Marie Hainsworth on Zoom. Marie is manager of Donegal Domestic Violence Services. Marie, I have to say I was shocked when I saw that some people still believe that a woman who is assaulted in some way is to blame. I mean, I thought those days were gone. I obviously was wrong.
No, and I suppose it wouldn't be a surprise to those of us working in the sector when you hear the stories, and certainly hear, when clients are coming through, not just our service, but I mean, we do have quite a detail, a number of sexual assault supports within Donegal, the Sexual Assault and Rape Crisis Centre, and also SATU, the Sexual Assault Treatment Unit. And they would both report, I suppose because quite a high number of people who are reporting sexual assaults tend to be younger people. And younger people, obviously, it's within a socialization setting, so alcohol tends to be involved, whereas that doesn't mean to say that there aren't sexual assaults happening with people not taking alcohol in an older age bracket. It's just that they are probably more reluctant to come forward, or feel, if you look at some of those other findings there where people believe within a domestic violence, within a relationship, for example, that it's okay for a man to have sex with his partner, whether she wants it or not, those kind of values are making it difficult for people to come forward. So in some ways, the other side of that is I also feel that there is a little bit, when it comes to victim blaming, people are trying to justify their own safety in some ways. It's like, well, if that happened to them, it happened because they were drinking. It didn't just happen to them. So therefore, it's not going to happen to me. If I choose not to take a drink, it's not going to happen to me. And that's a very distorted way of thinking about safety, because it's obviously not the case, So there's 2 aspects going on there. People grappling to understand what's actually happening in a sexual assault, and also people trying to distance themselves a little bit and say, it's not really happening to me. It's not going to happen on my watch. I can't possibly be a victim. It's this kind of a psychological response in some ways. So they're the 2 aspects to it, but yeah, attitudes are slow to change. It is across the EU. It's not just, it's a small sample from Ireland. I think there's only like 1,000 involved. So in some ways it's a little bit maybe distorted. We don't know, but it does back up what we're seeing in terms of who is the main cohort of people who are coming forward to make disclosures. And that can be impacting what goes across in the media, what's reported in kind of court reports, and people's association then as to what's involved with sexual assault.
Speaking of the willingness of women and others to come forward, is it the case that if you have information like this out in the public domain that suggests there is still an element of blame being attributed by a section of the population, does that undermine the person making the complaint? As in, do they start to think, oh, I wonder if I had done something differently, could I have prevented it? And in making them think that, it undermines their case, it undermines their self-confidence, because I'm sure it takes a huge amount of self-confidence to and perhaps not self-confidence isn't the word, but commitment to go forward with the case.
Right,
and I would have thought that, if you're putting this information out there that, a section of society thinks you're to blame, are they going to think, well, maybe, and then they don't come forward, or they feel themselves that maybe they don't have a case, which is even worse?
Well, absolutely. And if that attitude is there in society, it's not just there in terms of the victim, but it's there to whoever they disclose to. They're going to assume that people, like whether it's the guards or whether it's family or friends or whether it's the GP, they're going to assume that they hold those views as well, which doesn't help. We were at a conference yesterday where actually SATU and Sexual Assault Unit and ourselves, and also the Alcohol Regional Drugs Task Force were there. So this discussion around women's sexual assault and alcohol was happening yesterday in Donegal. And out of that, one of the things that came clear from SATU was, every woman who makes a disclosure of sexual assault feels guilty. Every woman that has come forward through their service has said that they felt that they were responsible. And yet that's not the case. We're still having conversations where we're fixated on the victim and we're not even looking and talking about what's happening with perpetrators. So there does need to be a shift. It's not just about how can we prevent it, and the only person who can prevent it is the victim. No, how can we prevent perpetrators believing that this is okay to do this? And how can we challenge that attitude? And how can we challenge when we hear family members, for example, it's coming up to Christmas, you're going to get lots of family members around, some of whom's beliefs you don't agree with. How can we challenge that, without it becoming a major row maybe, but also without allowing that discourse to continue where we accept it. We might not do it in our own family, but we accept it in somebody else's family, because that needs to be challenged,
We often have this conversation and we speak about this needs to go down to the schools and to the civics classes, as we would have called it. SPHE, I suppose, is what it would be these days. But we need to have this discussion in schools. We need to have this discussion in the workplace. It's a discussion that needs to be had right across society.
Oh, it does. Another of those figures was talking there where it was quite acceptable to a significant number of people to make disparaging sexual comments to colleagues in the workplace. Now that's not, we had thought we'd moved beyond that, and it is important that, we do have recourses where we can take complaints to different commissions and stuff. But at the same time, that's a lot of energy and work and effort on individual victims to have to keep holding society to account. What can we do to kind of support that at a more general level? And schools definitely are having conversations with people in their peer group, so that it can be made relevant to what's going on in their own lives. But also conversations in where do young people get most of their influence from? It's other peers and it's from their family. It's not necessarily from schools. So we need to make sure that the conversation is happening at every forum that people are involved in.
We like to think that we've gone well beyond the Benny Hill wolf whistles from builders on a building site sort of style of society and discourse. Does this suggest we're not as far away from that as we'd like to think?
I think we kind of make excuses, and we might laugh things off a little bit, but you have to think about it. If a woman's walking down the street and a couple of, guys are there making wolf whistles to her, and then she walks on a bit further and one of them decides to follow her and drag her down an alleyway and rape her. Like, where does that sexual assault actually start? It started way back at the site with the whistles and the acceptance that it was okay to objectify this person, which then for the person who is going to go on and perpetrate a sexual assault or a rape, you're giving that message that, oh, well, that's okay. So therefore the next stage is not such a big leap, So you're making everything unsafe for people. And another interesting statistic that Satu mentioned was 50% of women throughout the course of their life will be sexually assaulted at some point. And the other 50% by default are going to spend their time worrying that they're going to be that figure. So it makes it a very unsafe place, not just for women. 30% of men will also experience sexual assault if you include childhood as part of that, which we do, as part of the life process. So there's a significant amount of the population who spend a lot of time worrying that they are going to be treated or sexually assaulted, having to make safety plans, having to consciously be thinking about what it is they're drinking, where they're going, how they're going to get home, who's going to be with them, and that mindset is stressful. And we wonder why we live in a society that is so ill with stress and other ailments. So, it has wider repercussions that we're not considering at the moment.
And there needs to be perhaps a consciousness then, based on what you're saying, there needs to be a consciousness among men in particular that comments we make to each other could potentially be seen as enabling or encouraging, even if we don't mean them to be so. We have to be careful as to how comments we may make. To us, it may appear like a joke. To somebody else, it may appear like permission.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we're not, we're not looking at the bigger picture necessarily, and I think that's what we need to start doing. That we're spotting it at an earlier stage, that we're challenging it right at the beginning. We're not waiting for things to escalate to a point where, because the impact of sexual assault, stays with the victim for life. The perpetrator, it may be just a passing moment, but for the victim, it's something that stays with them for the rest of their life. It impacts their future relationships. It impacts their mental health and their capacity to live fully. So, it is important that we try and bring this to a halt,
A caller has made a comment, and I can sort of see where the caller is coming from here. And I'll put this to you. They're saying, I keep telling my grandchildren they have to look out for themselves. Don't get drunk and go back to a room with a man or a woman. It is the same as telling them to look before they cross the road. It's not telling them that anyone has a right to assault them. Why, oh why, would you not think it's important to warn them to please take care? Don't cross the road without looking both ways. Don't get into a car when you know the driver is drunk. Now, I recall there was a media personality, should we say, some years ago, got into hot water and ultimately lost his job because he made comments that were seen as being highly insensitive. And I get the impression that this caller is saying, look, I mean, are you telling me I shouldn't be warning people, to look out for themselves? And it's almost like there's some people are almost, we still need to say to people, look after yourself, take care.
Yeah, no, we do, and it's not just about sexual assault. I mean, I would have always told my kids as teenagers, to stick together. If somebody drinks too much and they're ill, you're not going to leave them abandoned on the roadside. There is this, we're trying to encourage a sense of looking out for each other and being supportive, not just minding yourself, but looking after your peers as well. And that message is given to both boys and girls, that you're not saying just to the girls, you need to look after yourself, but you're saying to the boys, go out and have a few drinks, but don't start acting the maggot, and thinking that this gives you the right then to start doing whatever, with girlfriends, that you're teaching both parties to look after themselves, look after their peers, and to be respectful for themselves, So no, I don't think it's a message that you're not telling people to look after themselves, but I'm saying we need to be a bit broader as well, and we need to make sure we are talking to everybody, not just the potential victims as we see it.
Yeah, because it's almost, some people almost now fear that if I advise people, to look after themselves, am I inadvertently or unconsciously opening the door to victim blaming or suggesting the victim blaming is the thing? And I think sometimes people can go down rabbit holes almost in their own minds. They're so conscious of trying to say the right thing that they don't know what to say at all. And I think that can be an issue sometimes in conversations like this.
Yeah, and it is just about, all we're asking people to do is to think a bit broader, don't just focus on the potential victim, but also what are you saying to the potential perpetrators, or what are you saying to the bystanders? If people are are you teaching your young fellas that if they see a girl that is, obviously been abandoned or has lost her friends and is wandering around and is under the influence, are you teaching them to say, look, let's go over to her, make sure she gets a taxi and just send her off on her own? Don't just leave her there or walk past her and say, that's not my problem. Look at her, look at the state of her, and leave her to be picked up by somebody else. So, that looking after yourself, but looking after others is maybe the message that we're trying to get out there.
Dr. Maria Hainsworth, manager of the Donegal Domestic Violence Services, thank you very much indeed. And the finding is that 13% of people in the Republic of Ireland agreed that women who were sexually assaulted while affected by alcohol or drugs are partially to blame for what happened. And I suppose, if we wanted to put some sort of a positive spin on it, 87% of those who were surveyed didn't believe that, and maybe that's something, some shred of positivity to look at. But obviously we need to keep this under control, and as you say, more conversation and more discussion. For the moment, Emery Hainsworth, thank you very much indeed. Going to take a short break. Back after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Luxury is not merely seen or heard or even touched. True luxury is experienced. It lies in the minute details that elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's quiet spoken, but leaves a lasting impression. You know it when you feel it. Luxury begins with L. Lexus. Experience amazing. Discover the all-electrified range at Lexus Letterkenny.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, your football store. Football boot sale now on. Save up to 40% off. Puma Future 7 boots only $49.99. Save €40. The ground is soft. Try a pair of soft ground football boots. Adidas F50 or Adidas Gloro SG with a fold-over tongue. Score a goal with our new range of football boots in-store and online. bmcsports.ie. Our Christmas club is now open.
Make it a Christmas party to remember at Dunnes Stores, with 20% off a fantastic range of wine and champagne. And mix and match 3 for $2 on over 100 party food options. Whether you want crispy tempura prawns, elf bao buns, or a selection of indulgent cheeses. Whatever you want from your Christmas shop, you'll find it in our aisles, fridges and freezers. Plus, you can save again at the till with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher. Make Christmas for everyone with Dunnes Stores. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used in the next grocery shop with €50 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
A hiarní talún an ribh isagah nach mórdíomh war dinóntocht a chlárú gach bliain réir lí leis an mórd honóntochtaí cónathe. Maidir le réadmhíonar cías a gris brú cíasa tá rialacha áirithe le leanúint agus cías á thocrú agus á bhéadú. Chun ólas agus achfaní áil, chun cearú leat clí leis an tlí cíasa agus chun pínó se hachant, tuaircuairt ar rtb.ie inniu. Arna chur ar fáil ag an mórd honóntochtaí cónathe.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenny's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhennys.com.
Weather forecasts, there'll be some bright spells this morning, but cloud will thicken from the west as the day goes on. Scattered outbreaks of rain and drizzle moving in from the west over the course of the afternoon and into the evening, possibly falling as sleet for a time over higher ground. Top temperatures today ranging 5 to 9 degrees Celsius in moderate southerly breezes. Before we go to news with Michaela, I want to remind you of our competition with the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa, giving you the chance to win their Pamper Me Please package. It's worth €130, and this looks like a day we could all enjoy. A 2.5-hour package. It includes an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, a relieving back massage, a Yonka facial with face and scalp massage, a pressure point foot massage, and snooze room relaxation time with refreshments. And to be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize on Friday, simply answer the question, which Christmas song mentions a one-horse open sleigh? Is it A, Jingle Bells, or B, White Christmas? And to win, just text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25 000. 086 60 25 000. Which Christmas song messages... my brain doesn't work today. Which Christmas song mentions a one-horse open sleigh? Is it Jingle Bells or is it White Christmas? And that's to win that wonderful Pamper Me Please package at the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa. Going to take a short break. Headlines with Michaela coming up.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
At Centra, we've got amazing Christmas simple savers from now until the big man arrives. Like Nestle Black Magic 348 gram and Dairy Box 322 grams, €6 each. Jacob's Elite Selected Tins, €10 each. And 19 Crimes Wine Selected Range, €8 each. Perfect for Christmas. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
The Private Security Authority is the government body responsible for regulating the private security industry. Every day, licensed security services protect billions of euros worth of goods and ensure the safety and security of thousands of people and businesses. When choosing a security service for your home or business, choose one licensed by the Private Security Authority. If you choose an unlicensed security provider, you could face prosecution. Visit psa-gov.ie for more information and a list of licensed security services.
Don't even think about buying a bed until you've checked out Restex Beds. Famous for their quality, comfort and excellent service, a Restex bed will ensure a perfect sleep. Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Leave the rest to us.
Making the move away from diesel? Don't get confused. Get excited at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Experience the power of choice. From our unrivaled hybrid range with no plugging in, to plug-in hybrids and the fully electric BZ4X, we have the right car for you. With incredible offers, including power-up boosters of up to €2,500, make the move at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply.
Get ready for a night of great music at the Highland Radio Christmas Concert on Monday the 9th of December at the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny. Join us with an incredible lineup of Mike Denver and his band, John McNichol, Jim Devine, Donna Taggart, Owen Mack and myself, David James. Get your tickets now at the outlet on highlandradio.com or call 074 91 25000.
It's Tuesday morning, it's 11 o'clock, time for the headlines, and we say good morning to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. Garda have renewed their appeal for information on a fatal crash in Ballinlough. 18-year-old Tiernan Kelly Doherty from Cardona was fatally injured following the single vehicle collision at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. Meanwhile, investigations are continuing into another crash in Inishowen a matter of hours later. A woman in her 40s remains in a serious condition in hospital after the car she was driving collided with a building. Labour seem prepared to go into opposition once again in the next stall, with all eyes turning to government formation talks. There's speculation that the party is the preferred coalition partner by Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. Labour has 11 TDs and could enter government alongside Fianna Fáil's 48 and Fine Gael's 38 TDs. A pedestrian was hospitalised after being struck by a car in Buncrana last week. The crash occurred in the Dr. Dennis McLaughlin Road area on Tuesday evening last at around 5:20. Gardaí have described the pedestrian's injuries as non-life-threatening. The HSE has confirmed it will give consideration to a proposal to expand Ballymacool Respite House in Letterkenny. Councillor Jerry McMonigal proposed extending the facility in light of the serious need for additional respite beds in Donegal. Ballymacool Respite House and CV House in Mount Charles are the only two centres providing respite care in the county. 89% of people trust Garda. The Garda Public Attitude Survey for 2023 has found people's perception of members of the force in their community is mostly positive. Business owners are being warned that fake £50 notes remain in circulation. Gardaí were first alerted to an incident involving counterfeit Bank of Scotland £50 notes in Buncrana on November the 16th. Since then, there have been a number of similar incidents. And a car has been stolen from a car park in Letterkenny. The black Ford Mondeo with a registration of 162C6166 was taken from Manderley Court car park between 5 and 6 p.m. on Thursday evening last. Anyone with information on the location of the car is urged to contact Gardaí. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
At Uno Energy, we've already shaken up the energy market with the really simple offer, Ireland's cheapest electricity. Now we're shaking it up again with another simple offer, Ireland's cheapest electricity and gas. So the choice is simple. Get Ireland's cheapest dual fuel deal at unoenergy.ie and save up to €900 a year on your energy. With Uno Energy, you just know. Uno Energy discount fixed smart dual fuel rate EAB €2353. For T's and C's, rates and savings calculations, see unoenergy.ie. Suppliers' pricing may change.
9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Thank you very much indeed for listening to the programme. Let's go to line 1 where we're joined by Breed. Breed, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
Very well indeed. Breed, you were out on the road and having dropped children to school, you've noticed something that's a touch concerning to you.
Yes, we've only recently, the children started going on the public transport to school bus. And just this morning, after I dropped them off, I was behind the bus. And I just noticed the bus is on hire to Bus Air, and there's no signs on those buses to say that there's school children on board. There's no warning signs. We always see the big yellow buses in America. There's nothing to identify these buses. And just another point is, my boys crossed a main road where I dropped them off, and now I trust them. They to look left, right, and left again. But I notice a lot of cars don't give the bus time. They start overtaking the bus. They just don't give time. I know everybody's busy and rushing, but I think school buses are very important, and kind of need people to identify them and know their children on board who may have that moment of lapse of not thinking and just go across without thinking, like we all do at some stage, be it an adult or a child.
I believe in the US, and you mentioned the fact that school buses in the US are so easily identifiable. My understanding too is in the US it is illegal to drive past a school bus that's parked and discharging children, even if it's obviously stopped, even if it's obviously parked, that in some cases a little red stop sign comes up at the back of the bus and you wait until that bus has moved. If you go past a school bus, even when it's parked, you get a fine.
Well, I think, looking at it and watching cars over the last while, where I drop my kids off, I just think, I say to myself, why can't you wait 1 minute just to let the kids onto the bus? I
mean, with some motorists, and I'm going to hold my hand up in here and say sometimes I occasionally think this way as well. It's that, as long as you're looking at the bus, as long as the indicator sign indicates that the bus isn't moving out, then it's safe to go past. Now, the reality is, and it's always the case, and I remember there used to be a public safety ad on TV years ago, and it's one of two ads that always burned something into my brain. It was the ad where the observant driver was looking and noticed that they saw the pair of legs running in the front of the bus, sort of through the little gap in the wheels, and then a child ran out in front of the car, but the motorist had seen the little legs running and the child. So you'd always have a good look. But no, I will be honest and say I wouldn't do it at speed. I would slow down and do it slowly. But yes, I would pass a school bus having checked the indicator and looked to make sure there were no children about to run out. And I have to say, like many others, I'm guilty of that too myself.
I probably have done it. I've probably done it myself. But it's just, even to have signs on the buses that are on hire, that they are doing school runs, and that there are children getting on and off the bus.
That is actually a very good point, because I know certainly there'll be some sort of a yellow sign or some indicator in the front of the bus, but not necessarily at the back. And very often, it's obviously the back is where the danger potentially lies.
Yeah, this bus has nothing on the back to indicate that it's stopping for school children. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, it's actually a very good point, Breed. Yeah, thank you very much. It is a very good point, and I'll be honest, I hadn't, and I have a sister who lived in the US for a while, and I was there with my wife some time ago, and you see the school buses, and I think in the US those laws regarding school buses and where you can and can't stop and when you can and can't move are very, very strict indeed. And certainly, if there is a school bus, if there's a school bus in front of you in the US, you are in no doubt, but it's a school bus. And it's telling that, someone in the US on holiday from Donegal immediately recognises a school bus there. So, yeah, it's a very good point and well made, Breed. Thank you very much indeed.
And can I just make one other point quickly?
You certainly may. Why not?
Just
Go for it.
Another thing that happened last week. I was parked after leaving the boys to school. We missed the bus, so I'd left them to the town. And I was parked and I was sending a message. And the next thing I heard, a real bang on the side of my car. Now, a student had been pushed into my car by somebody else. There's a pushing and shoving thing that's going on. And the poor fella now, I looked up at him in my face, probably. He was like, oh my God. But I didn't, when I reflected on it, it wasn't his fault. It was
Yeah.
Maybe it's something parents need to highlight with their kids, just to that somebody could go out in front of a car. Go, you know.
Well, it
So
could happen
that's
so
my
easily.
2
It
points.
could happen so easily.
Yeah, yeah.
Bree, thank
Thank
you
you
very
for
much
your
indeed.
time,
Yep,
Donal.
point well taken. You take care. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
That's great. Let's look at some of your comments. And we read a piece out from Paul earlier with regards to the need to look after the mental health of young men. This is an important one. Caller says, I am 70 years old. I have been waiting over 6 months for a mental health appointment. I hear that young people can't even get appointments at the moment. There is something far wrong if people in Donegal can't get an appointment. And this is a very, very important issue. Now, we have heard so often how difficult it is under the CAMS, the Child and Adult Mental Health Services, to get appointments. And there was a suggestion made. I did hear Pierce Doherty make a suggestion over the course of the election debate that instead of having CAMS where you're under the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service until you're 18 and then you're dropped like a hot potato and just chucked directly into the adult services, that maybe there should be a service that runs up to 25 and it's tapered through, that you go from childhood to adolescence into young adulthood and stay in that system until you're 24, 25 perhaps. It was a very interesting one, and I hope someone will take that up and run with it, because I think he made absolute sense when he made that suggestion during the debate. And I know during election debates so much gets said, so many points are made. That I think was a very, very interesting one that Pierce Doherty made that I would like to see fleshed out a bit, and hopefully he in the Dáil and his colleagues perhaps get something up on private members' time or something. But I think that is something that really does merit discussion. Now, if over the course of the last couple of days, like myself, you were completely and utterly tied up in elections and counts and all that goes with it, we would have maybe taken a glance at some international news, as I did. And I heard a story on the news on RTE at 2 o'clock in the morning as I drove home from a McCann Centre on Sunday night yesterday morning, that Joe Biden, the US president, had given a pardon to his son, a full and unconditional pardon to Hunter Biden. Now, sometimes you listen to conversations coming from the US and you would think that Hunter Biden was some master criminal and a public enemy number one, and was probably the most dangerous person in the US, depending on your political view. Now, Joe Biden had said as recently as June, July that no, he would not pardon his son, he would trust the system. Joined online by no stranger to this programme, Larry Donnelly, a law lecturer at the University of Galway. Larry, pleasure to speak to you as always.
Great to be with you.
Larry, the Hunter Biden thing, it's an interesting one, because even the way the Hunter Biden conversation sometimes is framed, they talk Hunter Biden, who was on gun charges, and gun charges is said as though he was sort of some, gun criminal. The gun charges, I understand it is he failed to disclose drug use while applying for a gun license. But in terms of what Hunter Biden is before the courts for and was due to be sentenced for, where would you put this pardon by Joe Biden to his son in the pantheon of noteworthy American presidential pardons over the years?
Well, you raise a couple issues in your question. The first one is looking at it objectively, apart from politics, the gravity of the offenses at issue here. And I would say to you that the gravity is quite low. The gun charge, he lied on his application. He said he was not under the influence of drugs or not taking drugs at the time he bought the gun. That is technically a violation of the law. However, it is almost never prosecuted, never brought to trial. Usually people are let off with a token punishment unless there's an additional crime. That is, the gun is used in some sort of other offense. He had the gun. He didn't do anything with it that we know of. Then in terms of the tax matter, yes, he did avoid a huge amount of taxes, but he repaid the sum in full. And when that happens, again, typically the defendant is usually given some sort of civil penalty. They pay a fine. So I do think that arguably Hunter Biden may have been treated differently here than if it was Hunter Jones. That having been said, politically speaking, Joe Biden does open himself up to criticism here, because Republicans will say, and we know that Donald Trump plans to pardon a number of people, including some of those involved in the events of January 6th. When Democrats criticize Donald Trump for doing so, Republicans will immediately retort that Joe Biden has pardoned his son. So it will be this kind of idea of one rule for you, another rule for us. And that will not play well politically for the Democrats. And there is a bigger issue here. Really, from an ethical point of view, the pardon power should be used where there's miscarriages of justice and other sorts of things. I don't think this is a good use of the pardon power by the president, but I am able to separate myself out from it and say, if he was my son, somebody who's been through a hell of a lot, somebody who has been clean for the last number of years, would I do whatever I could to give him a break? Yeah, I probably would, and I think a lot of people get that.
Initially, Joe Biden did say that he would trust the system. What he appears to be saying now is, I no longer trust the system, and my belief is that the prosecution of my son, and by inference, the sentencing of my son, will be done not as a judicial act, but as a political act. Does he have a point?
I think he does. I mean, one thing, just, again, this might be something of a technicality. I mean, the sentencing is due to take place in the next 10 days or so. So it will be before Donald Trump is president of the United States. That having been said, there is certainly a climate in Washington, D.C. right now. We need only look at the sorts of people who Donald Trump is appointing. And that climate is very much one in which he is going to seek to exact retribution over the people who he thinks to put him through hell unjustly. And in that climate, I'm sure that President Biden is worried that Hunter Biden might wind up being collateral damage, and I'm sure that probably played a part in his abrupt turn of mind. I mean, it was only a few weeks ago he was saying that there was no pardon in store, but he clearly has changed his mind.
I actually get the impression he won't be collateral damage, that Biden fears there'll be a target on his back.
There could well be, but I mean, the fact is he would be sentenced beforehand. What else could they do? I mean, I think perhaps he could be targeted for alleged infractions having to do with Ukraine and all those sorts of things. That's why I think the pardon is so broad in its scope. It goes all the way back to 2014. So I think he's trying to get him out of the equation is the bottom line.
There have been presidential pardons over the years, and I have a recollection, and I will be honest, I haven't had a chance to look into this at all. I recall there was a big financial scandal, and Bill Clinton ended up pardoning people. I've Whitewater or something like that in my head for some reason, can't remember, but it was there was a financial scandal that Bill Clinton and friends of his were involved in, and Clinton pardoned them, that I seem to recall got a lot of traction at the time.
You have a good memory, Donal. Yes, that's absolutely right. At least one or two of the people involved in the Whitewater scandal down in Arkansas, he used his pardon power for. It's also notable that President Clinton used his pardon power for his brother, his half-brother, Roger Clinton, who was involved in lots of tawdry and messy stuff. So it's not unprecedented for presidents to use this power for close associates or for relations.
Am I right in thinking that there was one point where Donald Trump or a close associate surmised that even if convicted on a number of the criminal charges before him at the time, that once he's in the White House he can pardon himself?
Yeah, now there was some debate among legal scholars about that, but my own view would be that yes, he would have been able to use the pardon power, and that's the reality situation. He's since been helped out by that Supreme Court decision, which gives presidents broad immunity. But yeah, he does have the pardon power. He can pardon himself. So it is, it's one of those things. It's an absolute constitutional right, given to the president, and you can see some of the reasoning behind it. But at the same time, it can be abused, and I think arguably this is another instance where it is open to that question: should Joe Biden be pardoning his son? Does it suggest to the people of the United States that there's one rule for the wealthy and powerful, one rule for everyone else? I think that's worrying.
As you say, Donald Trump has made it quite clear that he will be, and indeed he asked if Joe Biden would use the pardon power to pardon those involved in the January 6th riots some years ago. I suspect not, but we will wait to see how this pans out. I mean, did Trump, and I'm trying to remember, did Trump use the pardon power when he was vacating the White House for Joe Biden, or I can't recall if he did or not.
Yes, he did issue a couple of pardons, including one for his son-in-law's father. Jared Kushner, in this son-in-law's father, who he pardoned, is now evidently going to be the United States ambassador to France. So quite a turnaround. And what it suggests, and I think a lot of commentators have put this point, and I think it's worth making, is that criminal convictions, evidently don't mean much anymore. And what matters most to Trump above all is personal loyalty and personal fidelity, no matter what. And if you look at the people he's appointed to high-powered positions or intends to appoint, they have one thing in common. They will do what he says, no matter what.
Given the differences sort of constitutionally and in terms of the legal structure between the US and Ireland, would it be fair to say that the US legal system is more politicised, given that people vote for sheriffs, people vote for district attorneys in some places, people actually vote for senior legal and policing personnel, and that the judicial appointment system, particularly when it comes to the Supreme Court, seems on the face of it to be a lot more politicised than it is on this side of the Atlantic Ocean?
1,000%, Donal. Yeah, absolutely. So many of our law enforcement officials are elected throughout the United States. You omitted what is the most egregious one, which is in many states, judges themselves are elected. And given the role of campaign contributions in the United States, a lot of those judges will, from day one, be conflicted because they'll have taken contributions from very powerful interests. So yes, the judiciary in the United States is incredibly, intensely politicized. It's one of the reasons why American people now have less faith than they ever did before in the United States judiciary. And it's a sad fact. If you look at the model here, I would go so far as to say it is infinitely better.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you as always, Larry Donnelly. Thanks very much indeed for that. We'll be watching with interest what happens, and no doubt once Joe Biden vacates the White House in the coming weeks and Donald Trump takes over, we shall be victims of the old Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times.
Thanks,
Larry,
Donald.
thank you very much indeed. That's Larry Donnelly there speaking to us, law lecturer at the University of Galway, and as I say, always a pleasure to speak to him. Let's look at one or two comments before we go for a break. Ray, the increase in the number of TDs in the Dáil after seeing the calibre of some of the new batch who were elected, I can only assume they were put forward as candidates because they had more than one good suit. Have we sacrificed quality for quantity? So asks Jim. Connor says people used to say that Dogecoin and Bitcoin was a scam. Now one Bitcoin can be worth up to $100,000, and governments around the world have announced that they are adding a proportion to their balance sheets. Fair point. Be interesting to know what Pat the Cope thinks is the solution to the mica problem. Here's an interesting one, actually, after the conversation we've just had. I don't know. I'm sick listening to the anti-Trump scaremongering from the media. Have you any evidence of his last term where he's done any harm to Ireland or mass deported or undocumented in the US and US press? We, our media, have no right to disrespect his office, his country, his citizens' choice. Absolutely fair point. Now, I don't know if this is... I did make a comment at the very start that there was a reference that Kerrygold were looking to shore up their stocks in the US for fear that Trump may introduce extra tariffs on incoming goods. There is no doubt. I mean, I don't think, speaking about the possibility of new tariffs on imports coming into the US, that's not scaremongering. That's effectively reporting what Donald Trump said he was going to do. Trump has made it quite clear that he will be looking to do things like change corporation tax to make it more beneficial for companies to stay in the US rather than go abroad. He'll be looking to import tariffs to make sure that there's an emphasis on goods within America rather than goods which are being imported, such as Kerrygold butter. I mean, this isn't scaremongering. This is looking at the potential implications of Donald Trump's own stated policies. 22 minutes past 11. Going to take a short break. Back after these.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Tinny's Toys, your local toy store. Christmas Club is now open. Everything for newborn right up to model collectors. Leck Road, Letterkenny. Or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Did you know that we even give 5% cash back on all purchases when you sign up to our loyalty program? Tinny's Toys, much more than just farm toys. Leck Road, Letterkenny. Or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Who's supplying the magic at Lidl this year?
Hi, I'm David Brett from Oak Park. It's our 15th year supplying Christmas hams to all of Lidl's customers. We select Board Bia quality assured Irish pork. We naturally smoke them using beechwood chips.
Board Bia approved Irish ham joints from $9.99. Wishing you a magical Christmas with Lidl.
Join Marty Friel this and every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio, in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. Arena 7 gift cards are the perfect gift for the whole family and can be used across the Arena 7 complex. Visit arena7.ie.
Need rapid care for a minor injury or fracture? Why wait when you can be seen today at Kingsbridge Northwest Minor Injuries and Fracture Clinic? See a GP with A&E experience and avail of further scans and surgery with highly trained nurses, radiologists and orthopaedic surgeons on site. Available Monday through to Saturday in Ballykelly for Leia insured and self-paying patients. Visit kingsbridgegpclinic.com today for further information.
Shekelatha ama Highland Radio. Arna Dortugad ag Airgrid. Uproar agus forbor an go letrahas na Héireann. Airgrid. Pobl a guachtu, era a guachtu. Heshe.
Fe chuig no méid taréis a hendeg. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Just looking at some of your comments. I got a phone call from a number saying they're from a bank. I don't have a bank account. I did press stop on my phone. Now, I've had the experience of being in the car and a phone call seems to be coming through, and in the car I just press the connect button, and then I hear the voice going, "This is Revolut," in which case you immediately disconnect the call because it isn't Revolut. It's usually "this is Revolut." Occasionally it's "this is Amazon." I have no idea what they're about to say next because the call is disconnected. Now we're going to go to our next guest because we're going to go to speak to Helen Nolan of Spree Agus Sport, because today is Giving Tuesday, and it's a day on which there is a focus on fundraising and urging the public to support their local communities, and very few do more in the Carndonagh North Inishowen area than Spree Agus Sport. So I'd like to say good morning to its CEO, Helen Nolan. Helen, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
Very well indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Today, as you say, is Giving Tuesday, and Spree Agus Sport is on a mission to purchase a new minibus, but not just any minibus. Tell us about your plans.
No bother. Yeah, so today is Giving Tuesday, and it's a day where everyone, everywhere can do something, I suppose, to support the causes that mean, so much to them. It's a day to give back. And it's a global initiative, and we're asking, I suppose, people in Inishowen and across Donegal and further afield to donate to a cause that's really close to our hearts. So yes, we're on a mission to purchase a 19-seat wheelchair accessible bus. We've I suppose been providing services to our community for over 14 years now, and for the last number of years we've realised that the transport can be a barrier to some people participating, and we want to remove that barrier. So last year we were fortunate to receive partial funding for a bus from the programme called CLAR, which is funded by the Department of Rural and Community Development. So thanks to Minister McConlogue and Minister Humphreys, we were successful with our funding application. But now we have to match fund it, and that's why we're asking our local community today to support our cause, so that we can continue or actually start providing our own transport to a lot of the children and teenagers that we provide services for, especially those with a disability.
Now, obviously, your base is Carndonagh, which is the town itself, but obviously the outreach goes far beyond Carndonagh. So you're not just speaking about people who are within a mile of the centre. You're speaking right out to the outlying areas all over North Inishowen.
Absolutely, we would have children attend from Bridgend, from right to Mallinhead, to Greencastle and Urris as well. And during the summer, we even had children come down from Carrigart as well to attend some of our inclusive camps. So yes, we have a wide reach. Last year supported over 90 people with a disability, in terms of recreational provision, so that they can attend services in the same way as their peers. We provide, a special needs assistant to support any child that needs it at no cost. So it's all about being really inclusive and making sure that every child and young person has access to, recreational activities that they want to take part in, whether that's through technology or sport or cooking and baking, or any of the wide variety of things that we do. So yes, absolutely wide reach, and as well as that, we don't, the bus primarily is to support all those children and young people, but it also will support other people within our community. Every Wednesday, in conjunction with the Alzheimer's Society, we have a dementia support group in Spriaga Sport. So our goal now is that when we do have the bus, we'll be able to provide transport for those participants to be able to come and attend. So and other groups too that need it. We'll be making it available to other organisations as well, to make sure that transport isn't a barrier for anybody within the peninsula.
Helen Nolan, CEO of Spriaga Sport. Listen, thanks very much indeed for that. We wish you all the best with the campaign. Just what's the timeline, Helen, in terms of how long will the funding remain available to you? Is there a deadline on this?
Yeah, so the bus has been ordered, and we're going to get the bus in June. We had quite a bit of match funding to raise, but a number of businesses are supporting us. Forward Emphasis International, Cost Cutters Carndonna, Malin Electrical, Super Value Carndonna, and Simpson's Bar and Restaurant, and we're really thankful to them for supporting us very strongly with this campaign. But we have a €10,000 gap now. And this is where we're asking the public to please support us now in the run-up to Christmas. Ideally, we would like to have the target reached by the end of December, so that we know going into next year that money is secure, and that when it comes to making the final payment in June, that we have that all raised.
That's lovely. Helen, thank you very much indeed, and we wish you all the best with that campaign.
Brilliant, Donal. And for people to be able to donate, they can just go straight to our website, and there's a button there called Spree Bus, and they just click on that button and they'll be able to donate directly online, or come into the office either, and you'll be prepared to leave a cash donation.
Helen Nolan, Spriaga Sport, thank you very much indeed. That group doing wonderful work up there in Carndonna and much further afield in Inishowen, and as she said, stretching almost as far out as Carrigart. Now let's remind you for the third time this morning of our Cadbury Secret Santa promotion. They have 22,000 bars to give away this year, and we have 2 huge hampers of chocolate to give away. Well, we might give them away. No, we will give them away, obviously. Tempting though it might be not to. Plus a €50 voucher every day to be won. What you need to do is tell us why you want to surprise someone special with a Secret Santa bar this year. Why do they deserve it? What good reason do you have to surprise someone with a Cadbury Secret Santa bar? Tell us about that person in your life who deserves that special treat. You could win €50 today. Also go into a draw to win a Cadbury hamper for you and your Secret Santa. And if you want to send a bar to someone in secret, look out for the special posters all around the county. And you can text or WhatsApp us on 086 60 25,000 with your nominations. 086 60 25,000, text or WhatsApp your nominations. Tell us who the recipient would be and why you believe that they deserve a special treat. 29 minutes to midday. Let's take a short break. Back after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Discover a new standard in healthcare at Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. For routine checkups or urgent concerns, Greenview Medical Centre offers children's consultations, referrals, prescriptions and specialised male and female healthcare. Don't wait to get the care you deserve. Book now at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Greenview Medical Centre, Riverside Retail Park, Letterkenny. A new health horizon.
The Loganair Black Friday sale is now on, and it's our biggest discount yet. Fly local from City of Derry Airport and save up to 20% off over 1 million seats across the Loganair network. Use promo code BF20 when booking. Book by 3rd December, travel from 9th January. T's and C's apply, offers subject to availability, exclusions apply. Visit loganair.co.uk. Loganair, your journey, our joy.
I'm a Christmas fairy, and if there's one thing I know about, it's giving presents. So, how about an M&S shortbread biscuit tin that's shaped like a tree and projects a little Merry Christmas onto the table? Or the Happy Christmas chocolate box with festive-shaped chocolates, truffles and caramels. Or the Quattro chocolate panettone. That means 4 types of chocolate, by the way. Made with honey in the dough. Can't go wrong. These are not just gifts. These are M&S Christmas gifts. Selected stores.
Have your eye on something at McElhenney's department store this festive season? Start dropping hints now with the help of our wishlist service. Simply heart it to create your own wishlist online or ask a member of staff in store and make things easier than ever for Santa this Christmas with McElhenney's.
Spoil someone with a beautiful fragrance this Christmas from McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Choose by designer, budget or celebrity. Top names like Clarins, Burberry, Gucci and Dolce & Gabbana. Also great prices on Calvin Klein, Flower Bomb and so many more. The best fragrant gift sets available this year can also be found in McGee's Chemist Main Street Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie. McGee's, where the best costs less.
And you're listening to the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. During the newspaper review earlier, we mentioned a story in one of the papers about new taxi prices that are being implemented, and there are fears that that may impact the nighttime economy. A 9% average increase in fares came into effect yesterday after a review by the National Transport Authority. Now, joined online by Derek Vile, who's a local taximan and a tourism promoter. Derek, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well indeed, thank you. Derek, from your point of view, from the taxi's point of view, tell us about this increase and the importance of it.
I suppose the taxi regulator and the National Transport are trying to do a couple of things, so they're not going to keep everyone happy. But I suppose there is cost of living measures for people in the taxi industry. Just keeping the business going has been quite difficult. So we'll be glad of a 10% increase to help allay rising costs in insurance. Diesel, everyone knows, is rising again. They will be good, but we'll have to offset that by trying to stay competitive. And, simple economics say if you put your prices up, you may not get more business. So we're competing with things like the local link, and we have to be very conscious of that. Over the last 4 or 5 years, they're heavily subsidised. We aren't subsidised at all. So that's a huge industry issue here in Donegal and other parts of Ireland where subsidised transport has come in all day from 7 o'clock in the morning right up to 12 o'clock at night. Another factor is that these rates are to try and bring in taxis after 12 o'clock at night when the local link essentially stops, and generate more taxis, incentivize more taxis to go out to 4 o'clock in the morning. I can't see that happening too readily, though these fares are essentially Christmas fares that are going to operate at 12 o'clock at night on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. We'll see how it pans out. There is only two ranks people have to remember in Donegal, so it really only applies out of Donegal town and Letterkenny. It won't affect people who are dependent on private hire taxis like we run out of Southwest Donegal, for example, or in other rural parts, Dunlow or Inishowen or parts. It won't affect them, essentially.
There's a lot of fear being expressed by those involved in the nighttime economy, an economy they say is already very squeezed, that increases in taxi prices will have an impact both on their customers and indeed on their staff, many of whom would rely on taxis to get home. And the fear is that the more prices go up, the next viable it's going to be to either participate in or indeed work in the nighttime economy.
Yeah, I fully get that. In fact, I took a quick straw poll today and yesterday. I was on Ocean FM talking about this yesterday. I took a quick straw poll among the taxis in this area of Killybegs in Southwest Donegal. And they also pointed out that the taxis in general nationally weren't looking for this increase because business is struggling and business is tough. And, this is a relatively quiet time of the year for the new rates to come in. the market will bear that over Christmas in the next month. But come January, February, March, that's off season again. It's going to be tough to justify a 10% increase. But what I would say is, I can see what the National Transport are trying to do. They're trying to incentivise evening work. There is a shortage. Everyone knows that. Your programme, Highland Radio, just about every radio station is talking about a shortage of taxis. So you can understand what the National Transport are at, particularly to rise the prices, to incentivise more taxis to come out at night to make up for the shortfall. So I do understand your point is that it'll make it more costly for the nighttime economy. But what do the pubs and restaurants, etc., want? If they want more taxis, we're going to have to pay the taxi men more to come out.
Are the prices as set by the National Transport Authority, are they prices you are bound to accept? Do you have leeway to say, well, the situation in Killybegs is different to the situation on Grafton Street in Dublin, so we're going to alter our priorities accordingly? Do you have leeway, or are you bound to those prices?
No, it's a great question, and there is great flexibility. Really, at the end of the day, I made the point that there's only two taxi ranks in Donegal Town and Letterkenny. So the taxis will have a taxi fared meter system, and it'll be easy enough to implement those weekend rates from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But you're right, essentially, we won't be adding those on as private hires. I run taxis and limousines, as most people in rural Ireland do, not a taxi per se. The vast majority of them are hackneys. Those same customers that are being charged the fare at any time on a Friday during the week, etc., they won't be charged any extra from us between 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. If the business was there, we would charge it. The business is not there, so we won't be charging any extra. So it's absolutely no use to incentivising people like myself to come out after that. I made the point on another radio station yesterday that there's only so many hours in the week that we can do it. There's major factors at play here that are not being addressed by the regulator, and I would say for us to compete against the likes of the local link service, which is a invaluable service for rural areas like Donegal. We're getting a public transport service, but that's at the expense of the private hire taxis. We have been under immense pressure over the last 5 or 6 years. COVID, yes, was involved in that, but just in general, it's subvented. These are multi-million-pound subventions that are competing directly with taxis. As I made a point earlier, no one's subventing us. When we put a new taxi on the road, that's 100% coming from us, no one else. Electric vehicles, a little bit of subvention. It's not practical to have an electric vehicle in a rural area doing massive miles. It's a diesel cars only.
Yeah, I suppose if you have an electric car and you're looking at your range and you have 40k lift and someone says, oh, I need you to take me to Sligo, that's you in bother. Derek, tell me, are you looking over your shoulder at services like Uber and Lyft, and where are we in regards to those services coming into this country? Because, I now find, even if you're listening to travel podcasts or whatever in the US, rarely ever do you hear the word cab mentioned anymore. What you hear is Uber, you hear Lyft. Is there a risk that's going to become the dominant force here as well?
No, it's not going to happen here. I am a fully regulated taxi, as all the other taxis in the country, maybe 20,000 of us. We can advertise ourselves on Uber and Lyft and other services, no problem. But unregulated vehicles are not permitted to use those services, unlike, say, in the UK or America or other places. That's not going to change anytime soon, if ever. It's a heavily regulated industry. I would go as far as to say more taxis are going to be lost due to over-regulation, unfortunately. And by that, I don't mean these are unintended consequences of regulation. I was chatting to one of the taxis here. He's looking at 38 grand to upgrade a taxi that only cost him about 20 grand a few years ago. That's the reality. The prices have doubled for the replacement vehicles, etc. Before COVID, I had 3 vehicles. full time on the road, I have one now. That is replicated across the board. Letterkenny could be down as much as 40 or 50% in the last 5 years as well on numbers of taxis.
Yeah, a caller has just said that local link fares have more or less doubled in price in the last few months as well. So it isn't only taxis that are increasing their prices.
Well, if you double a run from Killybegs to Donegal Town from €2 to €4,
yeah,
it's not much. So whoever saying that has a point. But for example, we're expected now to put our prices up from €45 on average for a run like Killybegs to Donegal Town to 50. That's 10% approximately. So look, you're not comparing apples and oranges, and nor am I. I think we do need to continue with public transport, but not at the expense of private businesses that I and others have spent 20 years of investing heavily in to just break even. In many cases, it's a tough time, but you can't compare. But on one last point on the local link, they come off at 12 o'clock at night. That vacuum between 12 and 4 will not be picked up by the taxis in Donegal. There's not enough of them. As I said, driver hours, etc. We do our 48 hours, and we don't have any spare hours to do after 12 o'clock at night.
It's one we'll keep looking at, I suspect, and there's more discussion to be had on this. But for the moment, Derek File, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. As Derek, they're speaking to us from Killybegs, and those, and as he made it quite clear, not all of the increases coming into force in Dublin will necessarily transfer into Donegal, but there will be some change. Now, I'm going to go to line 2 because we're joined by Thomas Wallace, who's an inspector with Waste and Local Authority Enforcement with the EPA. And the EPA has today published a report on enforcement performances of local authorities in 2023. Thomas, good morning.
Morning, thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure as always. Thomas, giving us an overall look with regards to the scores that the various authorities have been getting, are you happy with the performance in terms of what the councils are doing?
Look, I suppose in regards to the report, just to give a little bit of context, this is the second year of a 3-year cycle for this local authority performance framework, and it measures and reports on environmental enforcement performance of the 31 local authorities against the delivery of environmental outcomes under 20 set national enforcement priorities, which fall under water, waste and air and noise. Now, in relation to the results for this year, look, it has improved since 2022, and I suppose in particular we're seeing that in the waste national enforcement priorities, and that would cover areas like tackling illegal waste activity and construction, demolition and life vehicles. So we have seen an improvement there, and that's very linked to where we see, prioritisation and focusing of local authority resources in those key activities for focus. However, water and air and noise, although there was a slight increase from 2022, it just isn't seeing the same level of improvement. And I guess, look, talking about environmental enforcement or whatever, it's like the main thing with all this is it's linked to improvement in water quality. It's linked to improvement in air quality. That's why this enforcement is so important, because it aligns with doing the work to ensure that everyone's doing the right thing, that benefits the environment and the public at the end. So look, it's lots done more to do in a lot of these areas, and I suppose, look, the areas we're particularly calling out are there's 2 national enforcement priorities for agriculture, where there needs to be more inspections done by local authorities nationally, and we are expecting to see that because there has been sanction for additional resources ring fence for that particular work, and there is actually a summary national agriculture inspection programme there up on the EPA website if people want to see and kind of see what's expected of their local authority, because obviously with agriculture some local authorities have more to do than others. And then in the air and noise, again, look, for solid fuels, we want to see local authorities going out to the retailers and producers of the authorised solid fuels and ensure that, it's the right fuels that are being sold, that are being sent around to shops, so that, look, that we as consumers are getting the fuels that aren't releasing, any pollutants that could harm our health, and again with noise as well is a big one we're just calling out on, because didn't perform it performed the worst of the national enforcement priorities. And again, there's noise action plans that all the local authorities would have in place, and they have to implement those. So look, again, different local authorities are performing well in different areas, but all of them have an area to improve on.
It is good to see, skimming over the figures, that there were 8 local authorities that received a strong or excellent score in 17 or more of the 20 national enforcement priorities, and Donegal County Council was one of those 8 local authorities. So the Donegal County Council in the top 8 performing local authorities, according to the survey. But look, there's always more that can be done better, and what will be the message to Donegal County Council and those other councils? They're performing well, but as you said earlier, there's more to be done. What's the message you're given to those local authorities?
Well, look, I suppose first of all, commended for the good work being done. And look, anyone who has a chance, any of your listeners have a chance to read the report, look, we do call out a specific example of good practice from Donegal, which is the household waste project, which they've been working on over the last few years to really push waste collectors to provide the tree bin services to households. But in regard to, look, the work is done there, and I think the key is to keep prioritising and targeting where they're achieving a strong or excellent environmental performance. And as you said, for Donegal, that's 17 of those national enforcement priorities across the wastewater and air and noise. So it's keep the foot on the pedal with those, in essence, like keep staff in those areas, and it's target the areas that need it. So use the science, use the monitoring data, use the local intelligence to identify where the problems are, who are the sites that need to be called out to, where are the areas of concern. And again, local authorities are best placed to identify it, and that will change year on year. And it, what they did in 2023, they obviously have a different local focus in 2024, like say maybe similar work but in a different area. In regards to the areas where they didn't perform better, and I suppose, look, I might just highlight where Donegal went, because a lot of these would apply. Look, the 2 agriculture NEPs are national enforcement priorities, and I suppose with them, look, as I said from the start, it's more inspections are needed in these areas, more farms need to be called out to. And again, this is it's in areas where there's most impact. So it's not just like, for any local authority, it's not like, I'm going out to 50 farms. It's, I'm going out to this farm because a water body nearby is at risk. It's agriculture matters seem to be impacting it in a negative way. So I'm going out to these farms to identify where there could be potential problems. And then as needed, I'm going to inform those farms what needs to be done, ensure they're not spreading in the closed season, ensure slurry is being stored correctly, just good practices. So it's inspecting the right places and using your enforcement powers as required. And I suppose for Donegal, again, we're probably talking about the noise, which is the Environmental Noise Directive. And again, with that, they'll have a set noise action plan. There's probably a new cycle of that's either finished for consultation or has already come out, and there'll be actions in that they need to do. Now, just to be clear, that's noise enforcement mostly to do with transport. So it's kind of would be road surfaces and things like that are in place, like certain asphalts that will be on traffic controls, so that it reduces noise, so it doesn't impact the public, because again, noise is one of these big, people kind of forget about it, but if it hits you, it's so impactful because it can impact your health and everything else. So it's maintaining quiet areas, but where there has to be mounts of traffic, that it's managed, and these action plans are there. And if they're not up on the website, will be up shortly, I'm sure, and people can look at that to see what's required. So they're kind of the areas, but around all of this, it's prioritising the right areas, senior management at local authorities to provide support as needed, but it's you can't say job done, move on. All of these still require the same amount of focus, so we don't want to see any of these dropping next year in any local authority. We want to maintain what's there and move the ones that haven't met the required standard to get there, because look, I suppose next year is the last year of this particular cycle of national enforcement priorities. So there's been 3 years where local authorities have had these in front of them to work on, and we've seen great work, but it's just some local authorities need to do more in some of these areas, and some more just need to keep it moving.
Thomas Wallace, Inspector with Waste and Local Authority Enforcement with the EPA. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. They will be keeping a close eye on that one, but for now, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Thomas. That's those EPA figures, and as Thomas said, that those EPA figures are available on their website. Now, we're going to go for a break in the weather forecast soon. Before we go, just want to give you a final opportunity to participate in our Silver Tassie competition. You can win a Pamper Me Please package worth €130 from the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa. On offer is a 2.5-hour package including an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, a stress-releasing back massage, a Yonka facial with face and scalp massage, a pressure point foot massage, and snooze room relaxation time with refreshments. And to win that fantastic prize on Friday, please answer this question. Which Christmas song mentions a one-horse open sleigh? Is it Jingle Bells or White Christmas? You can text or WhatsApp your answer to 086 60 20 5000. Back after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Octavia, Fabia, Scala, Superb, Kamik, Karoq, Enyaq, Kodiak, petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid, electric, HVO. So much choice, but not that much time. Whatever 251 Skoda you choose, you should order it now, because even though we have a wide range, they're selling fast. See what stock is left at skoda.ie and order yours today.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
It's Ireland's greatest live show. The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mizell and Patrick Feeney are back on tour. Get ready for a truly amazing experience full of laughter, music and song. See The Three Amigos live Tuesday, January 21st, Clonry Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets price $39.50, now available at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where booking fees may apply.
Happy Christmas from The Three Amigos!
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more this season. Bring a little cheer to your days with Tesco finest mince pies 6-pack and mini mince pies 9-pack, now 2 for €6. Or how about a little something for someone special with sets from Nivea, Dove and more, now half price. Helping feed your Christmas spirit. Shop in-store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Club Card required, subject to availability. Available in most stores. Prices vary in express stores. T's and C's apply. See tesco.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenney's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhenneys.com.
Cloud thickening from the west, followed by rain and drizzle during the course of the afternoon and evening, possibly falling as sleet for a time over higher ground. Top temperatures today ranging 5 to 9 degrees Celsius in moderate southerly breezes. Now, before we go, let's share with you Tuesday's winner of our Secret Santa. And this letter comes from Marie Moyne. I know you'll have loads of entries for this competition and loads will deserve to win. My nomination is for an amazing mother of 4 children, Kathy Kelly of Carndonagh. She's my deceased brother Kevin McElhenney's partner. He was killed, sadly, in a tree-cutting accident in January 2019. She's mother to his 4 children. They have 2 older, beautiful sons who are an amazing help to their brother Timothy, who has a severe terminal diagnosis, and their sister Lucy, who also has disabilities. Time passes and life goes on. Their 2 sons are now both attending colleges in Belfast and Letterkenny. They're unable to help as much. Kathy is an amazing mum, always putting her children in front of her own needs, especially her 2 special needs children. First and foremost, she has unconditional love and devotion, constantly giving her time and care. She won the Donegal Home Carer and then went on to win the regional and had a great day out in Dublin last Thursday at the final. I think Kathy needs recognition for her nominations. Kathy is humbling in her winnings. Thank you for taking the time to read my message, and I wish everyone a happy Christmas. That's from Marie. And I think that is a wonderful dedication. And yes, who deserves it more than Kathy? And delighted to say that Kathy is nominated for our Secret Santa bar and deserves so much more as well. This has been the 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. Thank you very much indeed for listening and for your participation. Thank you to all who took part, all our guests over the course of the morning. A special thank you to Shannon and especially Caroline, who produced and as always held my hand and kept me sane. And to all of you, most of all, thank you for listening and for your messages and everything else that goes with it. It is the 9 till noon show. We're back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. But for now, have a very good day. John Breslin is up next around the Northwest.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Thinking about upgrading your car? Pre-order your brand new Kia now with iMotors. We're offering one lucky customer a chance to win €10,000 when they pre-order with iMotors. Avail of 0% finance and a free home charger on selected vehicles. Grab a 500